I don't
How will we
feel
know?
live. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, you'll feel it when you go live.
How
You'll
will we
know
know?
that you're
You'll
live.
just a rushing sensation. Just
This
a
is intense. I can't handle being
We're
live
back.
and trying to record a podcast.
You can't.
it's
What? Being live and? Oh,
just no
Well,
difference,
let me
right?
get out of my system.
Although I suppose if some poor soul enters and has our immediate attention,
oh no! There's something in my eye.
Uh-oh.
Like,
let's go to the eye cam
Right.
big time in my
Oh,
eye.
and then the knee cam. Let's get a
Ow!
side by side
Yeah,
eye
here
cam and knee
we'll
cam.
get the eye cam in.
I'm 100%
Actually,
like dying.
funny enough, my contact fell out immediately before this, and I was doing the
That's what I'm like trying right now. That's what it
like
feels
it
This is
folded
it.
in
Ow, ow,
half
ow. I'm
on
so
top
sorry.
in my eye.
Do you have a?
Oh,
Shit,
man.
that hurts.
You guys ever see on YouTube? I'm sure elsewhere there's a great performance
Oh, we got the knee
Hold on.
cam.
skit.
Why is it like that?
Oh
That's
man,
better.
knee
The knee
cam's
cam
down.
is not working at all. Knee cam,
Must-
the knee
it probably
cam
got
is
kicked.
down.
Probably got kicked.
All right, we got to get the knee cam
on.
out of here. This is a disaster.
What's
Let's
in
get
my
the
on
get
the
the
knee
engineer
cam's
on
end.
it.
The knee cam looks good on the knee cam's end, so I don't understand.
Huh.
I must have.
All right, the knee cam is leaving.
Sorry,
Oh
hold
man.
on.
The knee cam left. Is your eye okay?
More importantly, pay attention to me. I was gonna
Oh.
say
I don't know what was in my eye. That hurts so bad.
there's a play or a series of plays just called The Play That Went Wrong or something like that. It's very entertaining, and they're very short. Go watch them. Very, very funny stuff.
I don't know.
This
it
is the
feels like something
podcast that went
still.
wrong.
The podcast that went wrong. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Hey,
Jeff, the mad board gamer, has
Oh, I'm,
arrived.
I'm in the private chat for some
give me
reason.
1 sec. I'm sorry.
Give you 1 sec. We got to start this podcast.
I'm sorry. It feels like my eye is on fire.
Oh my gosh, get with the program.
I'm dying. At
Can we
all
use her
times.
phone as the eye cam as she
Probably.
Want me to record this?
The eye cam.
right?
Yeah, could you load up the eye cam while you're doing
And
this?
it's like,
Just
wait,
click the
Right.
link.
Just,
Click the link in the chat.
HD like super red eye.
For real, like click it. We'll bring it in.
I'm looking at my
We'll pull.
camera.
Yeah, your camera will be up when
That's
you're
what
doing
I'm
the eye
saying.
cam.
I
Yeah,
know,
it's
but I'm trying to
perfect.
actually get now my eye.
You won't even know the eye cam's on. It'll just be using it like a mirror.
I
Okay.
appreciate your positive vibes, Jeff. We'll see if we can actually pull off any sort of like live stream, or if we completely fall apart here.
Well, we already have. We're 1 minute
Yeah.
in, and
That's
sorry.
all right. We haven't started recording the podcast yet. We're just drinking and talking about how poorly the podcast is going to go.
How poorly we're doing.
That's all right. We'll get this show on the road.
It's like, okay. I
Hello
guess
and
I'm ready.
welcome to the Date Night D List, a podcast where we watch movies so you don't have to. This episode of the Date Night D List, we watched the movie Downsizing. Ooh, I hope you're all excited to hear about Downsize. Here we go. There we go. We got
There we
Downsizing
go.
on the stream. Emily,
This-
could you tell us a little bit about Downsizing? Do you know the like base stats? Are you the statistician?
I did not write any stats down this time. It was made.
You want me to pull some real quick? I do have one.
Sure.
I have one stat, which we just looked up, which is an Alexander Payne film, written by Alexander Payne, directed by Alexander Payne. Hop on over to his IMDb, and you will see that this is probably the only movie he's ever made, and probably the last movie.
Yeah,
he's
we
made.
know
The last
why.
movie. You don't say. That's so strange. I'll make sure to avoid every Alexander Payne movie I ever see in the
Any
future
future?
again.
Well, the thing is, like the picture you have up, like we're meant for something bigger. I feel like the movie isn't really, like
It tries
it tries, but
very
it's not.
weakly.
It's
My-
very.
So if you
deceiving.
remember, when did this come out?
2017.
This
I-
is hold on, I have some stats
Yeah,
here. It is
okay,
a
all right.
rated R movie from
Why is
2017.
it rated R?
It didn't need to be at
It
all.
certainly didn't need to
Why?
be.
It
Why?
is rated
There-
R. There's a whole bunch of penises in the first half.
So fewer people would see it.
Oh, I feel
and then
like
there's
they could've-
like an F word monologue at the end.
Oh, that's true. That
Oh.
was very bizarre.
But that's
Yeah.
a dumb reason to.
It
Make
is.
it an R.
It should have been PG-13.
Well, it is. Here is the I love. If you're ever going to look up bad movie, what the description is, the one sentence description, don't go to Wikipedia.
No.
Always go to IMDb.
Oh,
So
yeah?
this is a social satire in which a man realizes he would have a better life if he were to shrink himself to 5 inches tall, allowing him to live in wealth and splendor. Now, does that tell you anything about what this movie actually is about?
It's like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
But-
that
And
is
that's it.
1/3 of the movie.
But then the movie changes into a new movie
And
multiple times.
but it was advertised as this.
That's
and it
what
was
I thought it. Yeah.
it was advertised aggressively as being a comedy. I remember. Yeah,
Yes,
there's a
I
whole
thought
lot
it
of
was a
penises.
comedy. Well, I saw
They're
comedy
like, there's
drama.
a room of penises in this movie. Sorry, talking to Ryan.
Yeah. There
see
are
'em
some
all.
penises in the beginning.
But once
But-
again, not necessary for
No, we'll get into
like.
it because
There was no meaning to. Whatever.
we're gonna walk through it, right?
Yep. Okay.
Because you see a penis in the first 5 minutes, full frontal, and I don't have a problem with that if you're using it in a meaningful way. Then you get a
So-
gallery of penises at about the
As-
35-minute mark.
We
Then
should
no
have had the
penises.
times marked.
So they spoil you.
Yeah, and then it's done. Like
front
there's no
loaded.
more. That's it.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Ken. Speaking of spoilers, I'd like to put a disclaimer at the front of
Oh,
every
yeah.
D-list
Oh,
episode.
that's true.
This is full of spoilers. There is not a non-spoiler section. It is literally
It's just a big spoiler.
listen to
Point.
this instead of watching the movie because it's probably better.
It's not spoiling. We're like helping, is what it should be called.
This is
'cause-
This one feels like counseling.
Here's
Just a
here's how I'm going to
three-person
open
counselor.
this. Right. Here's how I'm going to open this discussion. This we've done a few D-list movies so far. This was the most boring
Oh yeah.
movie we've seen yet.
Yes.
But I'm gonna
Hands
tell you
down.
right now, I got the best sleep after watching this movie.
What?
Oh yeah, you got the best sleep while you were trying to watch the movie.
I felt like you ever sleep like you went to sleep angry and you woke up angry and you can tell you didn't sleep good? That's what I
was
had.
that.
You were so mad about the movie you couldn't sleep.
This is also the only movie that I totally subconsciously didn't write down a single word about. Usually I've
Didn't
got some
need
pretty
to.
good notes about.
He didn't need to.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah,
to
there
say.
isn't much
It's
there.
burned in your brain, the ridiculousness of it. So I'll let you walk us through this, but
Okay.
the only opening note I wrote down was very Norwegian, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was
Yes.
referring to the scientists in the beginning of the movie who are
Oh, yeah.
discovering that you can
they're in Norway.
downsize organic matter.
Yeah.
They are in
Really?
Norway, yes.
They're in Norway, but like there's a lot of very European
Like all
scenes
the
in this.
and a lot of the downsized stuff feels like IKEA stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I liked that because it makes sense in a like, well, we had to make this 5 inches tall, so it's not as nice like a door is just a big sliding piece of plastic instead of like a door, right?
I was hoping it'd be much more Stuart Little-ish. Like, could we get some popsicle sticks in here for the bedroom or
Yeah,
something?
there was never a scene where like they floated down a river on a leaf or any like.
Yeah, like do some
What a
fun
missed
stuff when you're
opportunity.
little.
Right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. This is what kills me about this movie is it feels like a waste of a fun idea. Like there
Yeah.
was so many fun ideas presented in the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie that they never delivered on, like
No.
at all.
Yeah.
As soon as they were little, they were in
It's a different. Now they're just small in another movie.
a small world
Yeah, it
where
was just the
everyone
same
is small.
world. But essentially just the same thing.
They were never little having to deal with problems of being little.
yeah.
Yeah,
They never
actually,
had fun being little either. Yeah.
after he, kind of gets his little house, do you ever see a full size person after that? I don't think you do.
The only time you
you
see
do like near the end, he's like traveling.
He's on the bus
in a
again
bus
or
or
something,
But
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, but you see him. I think the last time you see a big person until the end of the movie is when he's on the phone with his wife, but she
Right, but she's
Wait,
in a
don't-
different scene,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. You can't tell that she's big and he's small.
Some of the nurses, the big nurses, hand off the littles, but okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, sorry.
We're like jumping it.
No, okay. Jason says we're not allowed to trash this movie because Matt Damon's in it. No, this is exactly my point. there's all these high points that the movie should be good. There's Matt Damon. I feel like he's doing a decent
I
job.
love-
There's some decent world building about being small and why, like, the crazy idea of why they need to be small. Well, I think we'll get to it, but like
Yeah.
the whole idea of when they're trying to sell them on being small, and it's like they're being sold a timeshare.
That was interesting. Yeah, and
I
it
enjoyed
felt
that.
kind
okay,
of.
you just need to stop. You're like,
Awesome, I'm
why
getting
are you
you're right.
doing this?
But because this is the point.
No.
is that it should be good.
That's-
it even has
yeah.
the guy. It even has the Nazi guy from
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
right, and he's great in it.
But
He
can't
actually is
save
like
it.
one
in
of the
it.
best in
He
it.
can't
He's
save
a-
it. We'll
No,
get to
but he's
characters.
like
There's nothing that
decent.
can save it.
We'll get to
There's-
characters though, because like so many of the characters in this are like 5 minutes of interaction, and then you never see that character
Yeah.
again.
It's
like,
so weird. All right.
It's,
Anyway.
you said during it though, it's much more like a documentary of like a sad person's life.
It was just. It was
It's
too
boring.
realistic. It was
Yeah.
too realistic.
Especially the process of being turned small. Like
Oh my god,
it
it
was
took
like
forever.
it took it
That-
it was like how it really would be, right?
Okay,
the like
hold on,
the
hold on.
whole okay.
Wait
You'd
till we
be-
get there.
You'd be
Wait.
in this
let's
lab
get
for
there
like
then.
18
Okay,
hours.
okay.
Emily, get us to this
Okay,
point.
so the movie
I hate
starts.
this movie. This is the worst. This is the
It
worst
was the
movie
worst that
we've
we've
seen.
watched. Yeah.
It was
By
so
It was really
far.
bad.
Hold on, let me roll up my sleeves here. I'm getting hot, getting all
This
mad.
movie sucks.
Okay, this movie starts in Norway. It's a scientist, and he's like running his experiments. You know, he's in his lab, and he puts a rat in a little like cube. And then when he opens it, you don't see it, but he runs to another scientist, and he's like, "We did it, we did it!" Which obviously, you know, he made him small because we
Yeah, right.
saw the outside of the movie. So then it cuts to 5 years later. There's a lot of cuts to years later.
There's
Or
4. I
months or
counted. I
weeks.
started counting because
Right?
it was the only way to stay entertained. There's 4 time jumps in this 2-hour movie.
Doesn't each time jump
it's
get
so weird.
shorter? Oh no, it's
it goes-
5 years
No.
and then
It
10
goes
years.
5
5,
years,
10,
10, then
1,
1, and then
then
like
2
4
weeks
months
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
It
Okay,
doesn't
so
matter.
then there's a scientist doing a presentation to a bunch of
This
scientists.
is one of my favorite parts of the movie, actually.
this. So
When it
he's
was
talking
still
about
exciting.
overpopulation
Yeah.
and like waste, and we're ruining the earth and all this stuff. So then when he goes to introduce the other scientist who's going to explain everything, they like brought a little box out. You think there's like a hamster in there kind of shit. And when they pull it off, it's the other, hold on, Ben. It's the other scientist at a teeny tiny podium on top of the real podium.
Yeah.
And he's going to then like give the lecture. But the best
I'm not
part,
gonna blow up.
the best part is that the podium is like, it is very Stuart Little, where it's like, oh, someone get a paper clip to hold up his like microphone. Like everything is very makeshift made.
Yeah, it's like
and
a-
I enjoy that.
A bobby pin is holding like the microphone from inside a
And
cell
With, like, a
phone or
little-
something.
No, what
Yeah.
it is, it's a lapel mic, and they've slid the lapel mic onto the edge
That's
of the
Oh,
it.
podium.
that's what it is.
Yeah. I liked
God.
that he has this podium, and on it is a huge handrail, which I
Oh,
assumed
yeah.
he was holding while being carried,
While like, whoa.
Right?
Well, that's
which
the
is
thing.
real. It was
Lots
good.
of handrails in there.
The attention to detail in this is insane, and
Yeah.
that's the whole rest of the movie doesn't deliver on the world building. That's what I'm trying to get at. And
Yeah.
what I was gonna explode in saying was when he's like a full size scientist is talking, and then he says, "Doctor, whatever, are you ready?" And you hear him say, "Yes, I'm ready," but you don't see him. And I was like, "Is he in the audience? Like, where is
Right.
he?" Then they pull the dinner tray off,
Right.
and he's hiding inside.
in a
It's not
steaming
like
bed of
Beauty and the
broccoli.
Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of rails and holding
There is a lot of
handles
rails,
in
and
all
I liked
the...
that a lot.
I do
'cause
like
it-
that.
The like subway poles when they're in there
Right, they're
carrying
just
containers
everywhere. Yeah.
because they
They're,
like
like, riding it,
when they're
like,
like getting carried by
whoa.
big people, so they have to hold on to something.
Now, what I didn't like though is so then they talk about how they've had a study group in Norway of like, I don't know, 20 or 50
Like 40 people
people.
or something, yeah.
And they bring
37
them
or-
out on like a little rolling cart, like what you would move from classroom to classroom in almost. And they're like, yeah, there we go.
There it is.
Yeah.
we have
Nice
a picture
find.
of
Good
the cart.
find.
Yeah. So they bring them out to be like, hey, we've all lived great for, I don't know how
It's been
long.
4 years.
4 years? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's gone good. Nobody like, blew up after the science
They had a
project.
couple
Can
kids,
we like look
actually.
at these people on here?
Yeah, there's a couple of kids that were born.
Yeah, the first little baby is over there. What's his
When-
name? Like Little Ronnie or something?
Yeah, whenever I saw the little
'Cause he
people
comes
next to
back.
big people, it was so fake looking.
This
And I
It is
feel like
really
that was
bad.
on
This
purpose.
is what, but
Yeah.
even when they showed the little people up close, and the background is just like the wall, it still looked like
Yeah.
weirdly green screened in.
There's a
which,
lot
like,
of that in this.
Shouldn't
I
that
feel
just
like
be
I was fine with
filming
that, though.
big people and like? But it shouldn't look. I don't know. Something
I-
about it looked wrong.
At
What
this
it
point in the
is-
movie, there's so much promise still. So I'm
All the-
okay with all these
That's
things.
true.
what bothered me, is everything that's little feels really clean, which makes it feel not lived in, right?
That's true.
Which makes
it is very
sense
IKEA-ish.
because he goes to like the what's it called, leisure land. We're jumping ahead, but he moves
Yeah.
somewhere, a small person village or whatever they're called, downsized people, and he's got this 12,000 square foot house that's brand new, and the yard is fake, and it looks really fake intentionally,
Yeah.
but it still takes you out of it, kind of. I felt like. I don't
wish-
know.
I don't know. Okay, but we'll
So
get
anyway.
to that. We'll get to that.
We got to get there because I love the sales pitch of the like
Well, the
12,000
sales
square
pitch
foot
is good.
equivalent, the
Right.
1.5 acre
That scene is
lot
great,
equivalent.
where
It's
they're like
so,
buying stuff, and
it's so good.
But see,
But-
it could be really good.
I was gonna say, I wouldn't say that. My favorite thing to say about a lot of movies is there's a good movie in here somewhere, right? Some trimming and some editing. There's not a good movie in here.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
no.
this movie, no. I just mean like
No,
the
there's
You
idea.
nothing.
can't fix this.
I feel like the idea though you could have actually
You would
made
have
a
to
story.
make a different movie.
Yeah, it would have to be different
Yeah.
though. No,
It's
there's
like
no
if you-
saving this.
If you made a fake documentary about a boring guy in a crazy situation.
But even
But
that would it would need voiceover. A documentary would have been better.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the fact that they get small and then it literally doesn't matter that they're
it doesn't
small.
matter. And
Why?
they're-
Why did they even shrink? Why? That doesn't even matter.
And
that
by
has
the
nothing
end-
to do with the end.
By the end, the motivation for why they're small is totally different from why they become small
Yeah,
in the
it's-
beginning. And the movie doesn't get you there. It doesn't move you from big house for cheap to the ending, which is like environmental impact, kind
But
of,
is it?
and love.
It's like Fallout a little.
Well, we'll get
Okay.
there, but it's
The
like,
vault.
what's the
Oh my gosh,
conflict of
I'm
the
gonna
movie?
spill all
Never
over
seen it. What
myself.
is the conflict of the
Yeah,
movie?
what is the
God.
conflict of this movie?
There's
You will
about-
be waiting for 2 hours and 15 minutes to
It's-
figure
At
out
the
that
end, you
there
will
is not
still
a
question.
conflict in this movie. It is just watching somebody go through the motions of being
Yes.
turned
Oh,
small
Do you think this
and
will work?
living in a small world.
Yeah, this is about a guy who stuff
Whoa.
happens to him.
This
and the
is
first
like
thing that
he kind of
happens-
doesn't like life.
He
He
doesn't
gets
do anything.
small. The second
Mhm.
part is life being small
He
is
gets
just as
divorced.
crappy
There's
as
a
when he
lot
was
of-
big. And then the third part is about saving the world.
I-
So
But is it
Okay,
like that?
shut up, Ben.
What was that
we'll
about?
get there. Because
Okay.
Get
So-
us there! Come
I'm
on!
trying. You keep yapping.
You're taking your time. Whoa! I got
dead.
guys. I got
Silent.
the look.
Can we
Did
we
you
need a
see that?
soundboard, like
And then I wanted to be like, dude.
How do I
and
roll a
zoom in.
sound in
I want
for that?
Roll.
big red eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we get the iCam back?
Right.
Hold on. Let's see if we can get the iCam back in here.
Okay, then Paul, Matt Damon.
Is that his name?
Um,
God, I don't know
yeah.
anybody's name from this.
Oh,
dumb
I
book.
didn't really know
Paul
anyone either.
Safranis.
I do like
Safranis or
that,
whatever.
but that never pays off either. Everybody
it never pays
pronounces
off.
his
Just
name
the
wrong.
whole movie, he's correcting people on his name.
Which is-
That's just a thing in
I
the
Is
movie.
it just supposed to be like people don't really think about him then?
I
Like,
think the girl at the end pronounces his name right, but you're so exhausted by how dumb the movie is, you don't even like.
it's
Who cares
no.
at
Yeah.
that point? You're so confused by the time you get
Okay,
that far.
Ben, shut
Sorry,
it.
we're just.
We are.
This is
Try-
bad. No, let her go. We got to let her run with
Okay,
it. For a bit.
Yeah, we're
Matt
never gonna
Damon,
get there.
Paul, brings food to his sick mother. Okay, he comes in, she's complaining
Yes.
like, "Oh, I can't believe that they can make people small, but they can't make people like feel better." She has all this like
Yeah, they
cancer
say
and
what she
arthritis,
has. I
and
can't remember.
I
what
don't
it
even
is.
know what's it called?
Fibromyalgia.
That's
Yeah.
it. She has that. So at the end, he's like helping her. Then it cuts to 10 years later. You honestly meet his mom for 2 minutes. 10 years later, when he comes into the house the next time, she dead. So
She's
I'm
dead,
so
and he's married, and
He's
he's already
married.
over his marriage.
it's
Right?
weird.
It's on
It's
the
like-
rocks.
He's married. The marriage is very like ox. It's not. It's weird. Ox.
Ox.
What is this?
We got the
cam.
eye cam.
Yeah, nice. We do need the knee cam.
Yeah, you want to check on the knee down there?
Yeah,
But the
we'll,
knee cam-
we'll get the knee cam going later.
The knee cam just has to be actual like clips of stuff blowing up or like buildings crumbling or
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
living in his mother's house. He's comes
Is he?
home and his wife is all stressed, and then it shows him getting up in the middle of the night, and he has like an old-fashioned calculator, like he has to keep it on the paper rolls to figure out his finances. And he's down in the basement at 3 a.m. and he's like,
Oh, because she wants to buy the big fancy house, and they don't
Yeah.
have any money, actually.
But I enjoy that he
Right.
uses that instead of a regular calculator, and he's like, ugh,
I
like
couldn't
it's
figure out what year it was supposed to be.
1950.
no,
Apparently,
it's
I-
very unclear.
I was looking at the cars. They also were. I think this was on purpose. Actually, he uses like one of those like paper calculators, and like there's like this weird mix of cars. It makes it impossible to figure out when this movie is supposed to be taking place. I think that's on purpose. They barely use phones. The only time you
Yeah.
see a phone when they're
and it's
big
really weird.
is when they are like a couple people pull a phone out when you first see the small person at the science conference,
they
and
take
you
some
don't see a
pictures.
phone again until they're little. And the little phones always have these great big antennas on them, which
Right,
I think is
yeah.
a funny
Yeah.
sort of touch.
I don't think I ever
Yeah.
noticed that.
Mhm.
Yeah, right away. It's bigger. It's kind of like they had to go
Like an old
backwards a
phone?
little. They can't make it small enough, right?
Right, like you can't make the
Well, that's true. It
microchips
would be
that
like-
small.
Okay, so then they are at once again like a college reunion, a high school,
Right.
some sort of reunion thing.
Something. Yeah.
It's not. It's, they
Doesn't
have
say.
name tags.
Yeah, they have name tags. They're talking about, what they're doing. So they're acting as if his job is really shitty, him and his wife. He's an occupational
Yeah.
therapist, which I was like, I feel
Seemed
like
like
that's
a good job.
great job.
And he
I
seems
see
to
nothing
enjoy
wrong.
it, right?
He
You do
likes
get to
it.
see him. He's like
good
talking.
at it.
He's like, okay, do this every night.
Mhm.
You know, fix the shoulder or whatever.
Yeah. He's good at it. He likes it. And yet, when he says that, everyone's like, that's too bad.
Well,
Didn't you go
'cause
to
he's-
pre med?
feel like
Because
that's a
he's
great job.
talking to
Yeah.
a guy that became a doctor,
Yeah, but still.
and
Right,
oh,
it's-
maybe you could be my anesthesiologist. or
Yes,
whatever.
you hear that in the
Uh,
background.
So you get a little
yes.
jab, and
I just still was like, I feel like that's a
he
good job.
seems fine
compared
with
to...
it. It's everybody else, right? That is kind of, and I'm sure it's intentional. It's just not very well done. They're trying to show that he's like feeling this outward
Yeah.
pressure to be better or have more or whatever.
Right, have more. And of course, they can't afford like the house they want and stuff. But in the reunion comes someone's carrying a little box. There
Oh,
we go.
nice. Yeah.
We have
And
a
two of
picture
their
of
friends
the box.
come in and they can't believe that they got, I think they call them like getting small, right? Or like smalls or something.
They've been smalled or something. I don't know.
You,
I do
you've
want to
been
point out
small, bitch. Yeah, there's the subway
There's the
rails.
The subway
Like
handles,
they even
like-
have like little loops. For...
right. So for anybody on the audio who can't see, there are like picture the poles in a subway. They have this in this like little box they ride around in with a handle, which is like
It's a
like
room.
furnished inside, but
Yeah.
it's
Like
but
a little
tiny.
chair and like
It's so weird. That's how they get carried into the party with like this like very fancy sort of like little box.
I mean, I
The thing,
get it
though,
though,
is-
right? You wouldn't put them in a shoebox and
But what if someone tripped? Like
Oh,
that is
yeah.
a big risk that you're
Oh,
taking.
that's
yeah.
never addressed. What if somebody stepped on you?
like
But
that's a
there's
gag
so
we
many
didn't
accidents.
get.
What if someone got pissed at
Right?
you and they're like, "Fuck you," and they just throw you? Like
That's
you're
true.
done.
Do I
dead.
want that though? I don't know that. I think
I don't
maybe
wanna
it's better
see
that I
that.
never saw
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't. I'm not saying I wanted to see that. I'm just saying the fact that so many people wanted to be small. You know how easy it'd be for someone to come just crush that community in 2 seconds. Some stupid
that's-
kid finds it.
That's something
Like-
they never get to is like, yeah. There's so much cool stuff they could have talked about. Like, okay, if you're downsizing everybody, the whole point is to reduce waste and things cost less. A lot of jobs can still be done the same, right? There would come a crest where you wouldn't have enough big people left to like
Yeah.
shuttle.
Right, like you need big people to like.
Well, how about also? I don't know how
Make
they're
electricity?
doing food. Do they have all food tiny?
I
How
don't
they get
remember.
tiny food? They never said.
No,
I
they
don't-
bring because you can shrink organic
Anything
stuff.
organic.
So they just
So
Shrink
shrink
anything organic.
animals. Yeah.
But can they then regrow it tiny?
I guess
it's
you
an
could
animal.
have like
guess.
pastures of tiny cows.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
Okay,
tiny people give birth to tiny babies.
that's
Tiny
true.
cows give birth to tiny cows.
It still just didn't quite. It would be very easy for one psychopath to wipe out like
Right.
thousands of people in
Right.
Right.
an hour.
Semi truck
Done.
off the
Right. Yeah. No, that's a real thing. Yeah. Whole town
That-
gone.
Right?
Gone.
Done.
Yeah.
I just don't trust that.
Not
It-
again. Not that I want to see that, but like. Anyway.
But so
I
far,
don't
no,
know.
but so far, like somebody comes up with shrinking. Now we're seeing some people who have been shrunk. We get into them starting to talk about why they like being small. And
Yep.
up until now, it's been like the environmental impact of being small is much
Yes.
smaller. They do the whole like 4 years
like,
of
"There's 4
36
years."
Right.
Yeah, it's like a
people
trash
fits in
bag.
one trash bag.
But when he talks to his friends, they did it because like they had so many bills and student loans and this and that, and they're like, it's so cheap to live this
Right.
way. So we
Right.
we got small. We can like I don't know. They have a bunch of kids. We can live in a mansion and all this stuff, and we don't have to work. Like easy peasy.
Right. My favorite term in the beginning of the movie is equivalent. Right.
Yeah.
$1 equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's 1,000 to 1 is the
Pretty
ratio
much.
roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then they go to check out Leisureland, which is what the
Leisureland.
little
It's a
Their
city
good
by
little
them.
friends had
Yeah.
told them
community
about.
is.
There's a couple of like little jokes when they're small about like staying, like, oh, your breath smells like garlic. Can you step back when the normal sized person is talking to the small
Is
person?
next
So,
one.
like
But there's not much
up until now, it's
there.
like kind of funny and kind of weird, and it takes
is
this
weird.
turn of like
Quirky.
actually being small is like, hey, you get to be rich.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, they go and you see, like you said, it's like someone selling a timeshare. So they have microphones and they're like, "Can you believe I live here?" And they're like on a table.
That
in a
part got me
little-
excited. That
I
was the
enjoy
first part
that.
was because a lot of it is very melancholy because
Yeah.
Matt Damon's character is criminally melancholy the whole movie.
right.
Like
And-
too much.
Yes.
They have this sales pitch bit where like
Oh.
he's finally interested in something.
Yeah.
The first time you see his character be interested in
Like
something.
they both are too,
is
right? His wife
downsizing.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's what's his Neil Patrick Harris is like
yes.
walks out of his 5-inch house and then the house opens.
It
and
opens
his
like a
wife is in the
dollhouse.
bathtub,
Set like a dollhouse.
and
And
she's
his
mic'd
wife-
up. And
yeah,
there's a
his wife's in the
cameraman in the bathroom.
Yes. And she's
So,
like,
yeah.
"You got to tell me when we do these things." Like she's been
Right.
in, because she's like, "Well, first I went to the gym, then I did yoga, then I hung out with my friends for coffee because like they don't have to work because everything's so,
Right.
And she shows off the diamonds,
Yep.
and he's like, "How much did it cost?" And she's like, "I'm not gonna say." And he's like, "How much did it cost?" And finally she says, $80. And everybody in the audience,
They
it's like
applaud.
a TV
It's like an infomercial. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the,
and that
The
one,
people in the
like the one
audience
old
were
lady's
great.
like,
I
like,
love that
she's
one
like
lady.
freaking out. I wrote down. I love that you used the word sales pitch, Ken, because I wrote I hate the sales pitch, and I put hate in quotations because
Right.
it was such a good like part of the movie,
It
and I
was
was like,
good.
this is so cringy. Like
and
this is
it's supposed to be see-through. You're supposed to see that this is
Yeah.
like
Right.
probably not a good idea. But then
Well,
again,
it's
they
so
never really go
obviously,
there
like,
either. I don't know.
no.
scripted,
Who's
though.
making money off of this? I
Don't know.
don't know, and I
don't
love
think- I
that
don't know.
the Matt Damon's wife. She's like, so why aren't you small?
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh well, my husband has hip replaced, so he's not eligible. You
Because
know,
you can't
like,
shrink like implants.
Yes.
Your leg
Yeah.
would shoot.
give
blow
him a
off.
tiny implant.
You
No,
got
you'd
to
have
take
do
it out,
surgery.
shrink him, and put it back in, which we'll get to. That's
Yeah.
part of the process.
So yeah, they talk to the woman about it, and she's like, "Okay, so if you sell your house, you do this, you do." She's telling them all the stuff.
Yeah, she
Um,
basically tells them to liquidate all your
Oh,
assets.
everything's
and
gone.
if you sold everything you own, this is what you would have in real money, which equivalent is like they
It
have
was
like
like 12 million.
they have like $120,000 real money, and
Mhm.
it's like $12 million or something.
And
Right.
then she's like, "Should we
Exactly.
should we look at the upgraded packages?" And they're
Right.
like, "Ooh."
right,
Sure.
because it's a
course.
resort. So if
Yeah.
somebody's making money because you have to buy a gym membership and you have to
Like
buy
the
a
whole works.
spot and all
Oh
this
my gosh, we
crap.
have so far to go. Like
That's
this is
slow-
10
it's
movies.
a
We're doing
slow-
okay. We're doing okay.
We're good. We're good.
I'm just thinking about
Okay.
how much, like, how many
Calm
more
down.
movies.
Well, it's like 12 movies in one. It
It is.
changes.
It's at least
issues
three.
Yeah. So then they start the moving process. They start the like, we're selling, we're doing this, the garage sale, all that stuff. This was when I said, well, hold on. When you get little, can you get big again? And then someone in the movie was like, nope, can't get big again.
They make
like,
it very clear
right
you can't
away.
get big again.
You
Yeah.
cannot get big again.
There's some
You
sort of
are-
like thing you sign, right? You have to
So-
answer
Yes.
yes, no
Yes.
question.
So after the sales pitch, they're in a very uncomfortable,
They're
like
very
legal
nervous.
meeting where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a 1 in 250,000 chance you'll die, and that's when they kind of like.
But I want to be like, that's any
mm,
surgery.
Right.
That was
Die
like,
from
I
you drive
had,
your car.
I had surgery 2
Yeah,
weeks
you're
ago.
more
I had
likely
to
to
like
die in your
sign
car.
something. Yeah,
Right.
like.
Yeah.
But they're super nervous. And the whole time I was waiting for like a laugh track because it looked like an SNL skit. So it
Yeah.
was weird.
Yeah.
It did. It's like it's very like it's like very it's so dry. It is like
yeah.
it is
But
like
it's-
desert dry.
It's weird.
But it's funny. But it
Excuse
is
me.
funny up to this point. But you're like, well, where does this
It's
go?
charming. It's not
There
funny.
you go.
That's
It's
a very
cute
good
and
a
charming
hurricane
and-
or a strong wind.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would kill the
But-
whole place.
Well, man,
Yeah.
a hurricane, a strong wind.
Yeah.
And how about
Anything.
some
Done.
waves when you're riding through the fjords of Norway?
How about
We'll
Well,
get
there's a
to that.
point.
They've
There's a point when it
never-
rains, and I'm like, wouldn't they be like being blown
Like,
up? But there's a
Wouldn't it
net.
be like
rain
floods and yeah.
I had to
Honey, I
tell
Shrunk
myself.
the Kids.
Yeah,
had
exactly.
to tell
We've
myself,
been with this, honey. I
There's
Shrunk
got
the
to be a
Kids.
drainage system. I'm just going to trust that there's a really
No.
nice drainage system under there. There's a funny part where he moves into. Well, we're not there yet, but they get the house, and the guy who moves him in is like, "Oh, it's a centralized heating for the whole city on the water."
Yeah.
Which I'm like, there's just one water heater for this entire city.
Oh yeah.
Just one like basement water heater.
But just think too, that would be like if you're.
But that's the point.
Yeah,
It's just funny.
that was good.
It is. There's funny stuff
It could be
in
really
this
good.
whole beginning part. There are
But-
little,
We'll
but
get-
I think it really takes a turn at this part. The after the when the process of them turning small begins.
All right, well, shut up then.
yes. Where the,
Okay, so then then they they go in, and they're like waiting. They're super nervous. They call him first, and his wife is like, "Oh, we're together," and she's like, "No, you'll go like in the women's one. They'll call you in just a second." So he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll see you in a few hours. Like, see you on the other side there," and he goes. So then they show the whole process, and this is where it takes 20 minutes,
15 to 20 minutes
and
of
it's
basically
very.
how it's made, but without narration. It's just
Right.
It's super like clinical, medical. It honestly reminded me of when I had surgery not too long ago, and it kind of creeped me out
It's
because of that.
super realistic.
It just
but
goes
they,
on for.
It goes on
forever.
forever. But they shave all their hair. They like.
Is that
they-
because it's dead? Is that
I
the
don't
idea?
know. I thought
And
that
it-
was
you
weird. I
can't
didn't know
train
that
it
was a
dead.
thing.
Get small. Would you have giant hair then when you're little?
Like
Well,
maybe.
this is live, right? I think the hair in your head is live, and all the hair up here is dead.
Yeah, so
they
maybe it
shape
would be
the
like.
dead. I mean,
It's
I had
never
to.
explained.
I
They
had
never
to
say.
tell myself that for it to
You-
make sense.
They're just shaving them for some reason.
It's a device to get his wife
Yeah.
But again,
to freak out.
like yes, this is very clinical, very kind of like boring and almost too realistic to the point that you're like, man, like this is you're trying to prove a point here
Yeah.
for
We
some
get
reason.
it.
But I do like the little touches, right? When they're sort of wheeling them into the shrinking chamber on the
Well, hold on.
tables.
Okay.
Uh,
Whatever.
Well,
Well, they shave them. They do all the dentistry because you got to pull all your implants out, right? You can't have anything non-organic in you because if you've got a
Yeah.
filling, it stays the same size when you shrink, which would kill you, right? And so, anyway.
yeah, apparently, right?
Well, they talk about it later. It comes up again.
And they did mention sort of early on, like any inorganic things like dental work or whatever. But what I liked was the when they're wheeling in all the people,
Yeah.
you see like the all the nurses are there. They're kind of like chit chatting or whatever, and the doctor is like he's in a different colored scrubs, and he's sort of
Yeah.
like leaned back casually, the way you always see. Like
It felt very realistic, but then it was like, why are you showing me this? It was it had music that made it kind of feel like a candy factory too, like a
It's
Willy
really
Wonka
creepy.
type, but it was still boring. It was, you're right though, like they're whispering and Yeah, he looks rough with no
Here's
hair.
Roberto's
Everybody
comment about
does.
hairless Matt Damon. When he was shaved head, I said, "Wow, make sure I never shave my head. Like he looks terrible bald."
Well, it didn't help. I
It's
mean, he
I'm
also
sure
didn't
it's
have
a cap.
eyebrows.
It's a
He
cap,
didn't, yeah.
right? They went
Right.
over his real hair.
But I mean,
just-
like, he also didn't have eyebrows or anything, so he
Yeah.
looked extra rough. But yeah. Whoops, sorry. But okay, yeah, they put him in the room. So this is when everyone's naked, everyone's knocked out, all this. They put all the little beds in the room, close the door, turn on the oven.
the
essentially,
doctor is the guy who pulls the lever. There's all those little touches. It's not
It's
any
got
of the nurses.
key.
They do
It's,
have all
you know,
the
it's-
correct
He's
people.
he's
yeah.
a different uniform. He's the doctor, clearly. He's the
Right.
guy who pulls the switch.
He
And
does the final walkthrough, right? He walks
Yeah.
past each bed. Like
it was
it's
so
cool.
real. It was so real.
It's cool because it's real, but it's super boring and unnecessary.
It's boring to watch.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
wants to be there for someone's surgery. You'd be like, we've been here for hours.
I
It's
guess
that
Let's not
same
forget,
thing.
we're at the movies watching a movie, right?
Well,
Like,
and we've also already seen people be shrunk, or we've already seen small people. So you don't
Right.
have to sell me that it's possible. We
Right.
know it is. So this whole thing, like if we hadn't seen a small person up to this, then it might be a little more interesting to be like, whoa, this is because it is
Yeah.
what's
scary.
it gonna be like?
It's very nerve-wracking. It sells that pretty good.
Yeah,
And it's uncomfortable and it's clinical and sterile and cold. and
irreversible.
all this stuff. But there's no risk. There's no sense of like, what's gonna go wrong? Because I know
No.
Matt Damon gets small. You showed me that in the first
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
Let's
so
not forget. Let me
Um,
back up.
Let's not forget.
Yeah, in
Let's
case you
let it-
needed to
in
see,
case you
But-
need to be reminded,
they
we're
accidentally
absolutely certain
made
Matt
a
Damon
measuring
gets small.
tape huge.
But when they are done getting small, they're on those same beds. But when they go
Yes.
in, everybody's like 5 inches. Now the creepy part is they're not all in the center, so it's almost
They
as if you
move.
like shrunk to different
Yeah,
sides.
like I didn't get that part. Like, why are they?
It's kind of like when you're
Like that
making
guy had
Christmas
a
cookies.
rough reaction or something. Or-
Why they moved
There's
around?
one guy right in the front that's like way over on the side of the bed.
Oh
It's
my gosh,
so-
it's so creepy.
It's so weird.
But-
It's
Yeah.
so like
They
who?
take like a little spatula, and it's like
Yeah.
if you were taking
poop
gingerbread
scooper.
cookies off, and they kind of scoop them and they put them in their little like tray, and
Right, the
and
people
it is
spatula.
so creepy to have like big people scooping little naked. It's
Right.
I want to be like, this is a horror movie. We could start the music
So
and we
weird.
could get
It
going.
could
right
be a
here.
horror movie. It could be a very interesting
Yeah.
horror movie.
That was
That's
so
the wiener
weird.
scene. That's the 30
Yeah.
wieners in a single room scene.
Right. Then the next thing is this, right?
Yeah.
This transition from
She
big
passes them.
to
Yep.
small.
And
Everybody
this is,
gets spatulaed
Sorry.
into this like oven-looking thing,
Mm-hmm.
where another door opens. On the other side is small nurses.
mind you,
I enjoyed that part.
this is the payoff, which I like, and I think it's a good scene to show the movement in the story and stuff. But you just went through 15 minutes of very clinical hospital like logistics. And then the payoff is just this lady like, what's going on, fellas? What are you doing on Friday?
How's it
And
going
they hand
today?
off the little people.
Right.
Yeah,
Are there
can you see one?
QR codes on
Yeah.
each person?
I thought you were
Yeah.
trying to peep a.
No, look, there's
You
a
would see
QR
what you can
code
see.
identifier.
That
Not
makes
safe
sense.
for work.
Because
Yeah,
it'd
that
be
makes
about an
sense.
inch tall, right? If they're
Right.
5 inches.
I mean, imagine if you like lost someone.
I mean, this is what it looks like though. Like it just never sells as realistic to me.
Yeah,
The lighting is
something's
just something
not
wrong.
right.
It has like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing, like that new
Yeah.
one
It's
where everything
weird.
seems like a movie set and nothing's
Which
real.
that's fine if that's what they're going for, but then
I
it
feel
kept
like they
going from
were.
like maybe it's real to maybe it's not, maybe
Yeah.
it's a comedy, maybe it's not, and it was weird. The best part though is after this. So he's in
Yes.
a room and he wakes up.
Yeah, I agree.
This is
Yeah.
the first. This is the
It's the
first
only-
genuinely funny moment in this.
He
One
so
of
he
two.
wakes up and he's super groggy, you know. And the nurse comes in. She's like, "Oh man, look who came to join us." And then after she kind of talks to him, she's like, "You must be hungry," and she leaves the room. And she comes in with a giant saltine packet, like the ones you get with soup, like a huge
And
one, you know.
it's like 3 foot by
It's-
3 foot, and she
yeah.
kind of
And right away he's like, "Oh," like he's not quite sure. And she's like, "Oh, people love when I do that." And then she kind of throws it down. She's like, "Let me get you some real
Like
food."
she does it every time, right?
Right.
It's like a
It's
prop.
so good. Yeah. That's her thing. She keeps the saltine packet around the corner. She's ready to go. That was the best part in like the whole movie right there.
Yeah.
Was that. That was my favorite.
Oh, I agree.
But then he
What
gets a
happened
phone
away?
call. And on the phone call is his wife, and he's like, "Oh, thank God you're okay." Like,
because
you're
she was
calling me.
not in the room with him.
No.
They were
Right.
supposed to be next to each other. He panics.
Yeah,
She
she's not
calls.
there. And
Or
he's
he
like, "Oh, you're
calls?
good."
I don't remember.
No, she
Doesn't
called
matter.
him. She called him.
Yeah.
Are you-
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
She called
Right.
him. It's not a question.
Which
Are you
seems
sure?
I'm
weird.
not waiting for your answer.
Which seems weird and doesn't make sense because she's at a payphone in
She's
an
at a payphone
airport
in an airport. So that's
hours
when
after
you-
this procedure that she
Yeah.
just decided to call him.
Which how did she know?
And
like
she
he
knew
must
where to
be
call?
up? I don't know.
Whatever.
But she didn't get the procedure. She panicked after they shaved her head and one eyebrow. So she
Right.
has just one eyebrow and
again-
she's like freaking out.
Could have been a funnier joke. It's just glossed over super quick. Super duper quick. They don't spend
So-
any time on like her
No.
reaction to it. You just catch her.
She's like out
Eyebrowless.
after this. Gone.
That's
You
it.
never see her again.
There's about 5 minutes of Kristen Wiig in this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
That's it.
That's it.
You never see her again.
So yeah, she
Her
said she
and,
can't do it. And
Her
that's
and
it.
his little buddy Jason Sudeikis,
He's
also
also
in it.
5 minutes.
6 minute, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
4.
He shows
That's
up
it.
a little bit later, right?
Yeah,
But
but
it's another
total.
2 minute. It's
Yeah.
like 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his wife didn't do it. He can't go back. He can't be big again. She says she's at the airport. She's not coming. So then they're like, "Hey, time to drive you to your mansion," and he's like, "Fuck this!" Like he
Yeah.
is 100%. I hate everything right now. You know, which understandable. But they kind of glossed over that too in a way.
Yeah,
They
they
do
did.
bring him to his mansion, and he's kind of like, "Well, what the heck am I gonna do in this thing now?"
Well, and because he did it for her, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You could really get the
Right.
impression the only reason
Oh,
he
it-
got
she
small
wanted the big
Definitively.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was because he felt like he couldn't provide for her the life she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's small and she's gone. Right? So
Yeah.
he just got like essentially broken up with. He's
Well, not only broken up with,
Yeah.
you're now
Well,
it's
trapped being tiny.
impossible to get back together.
and they do a
Impossible.
pretty good.
Thank
There
you,
is some
Ben.
pretty. Kudos to Matty Boy on this one. He does pretty good with selling how upset he is for
Oh,
it
yeah.
being a
for sure.
for him not talking to her in real life. Like they're on the phone, right? And he
Right? Can you
flips out
imagine your
We're like
your
40
other
minutes in.
person?
30,
Yeah.
40 minutes in.
Yeah.
And the whole thing has kind of been him just like trying to help please other people. And he loses it. And it's the first time where it's like, hey, he's going to move as a character and as a person. He's going to change. No, he's just sad for another
Not much.
40 minutes.
He gets a little pissed. He's like, "You got to come back here. We got to talk." And she's
He
like,
yells
"Talk
at
to
her.
tiny you." Like she's
Yeah,
like,
she's
Right,
like,
she
and come
doesn't
back and
wanna
talk to
see
5-inch
him.
tall you. I don't want to come back there.
yeah. So
Which
she's
is like, that's weird.
she's done
'cause-
so.
Yeah.
Dang.
He goes to his mansion, walks around, is depressed. It shows the one small thing that you kind of have to know. He's watching TV, eating alone, and hears about how
Jeez.
there's other people like trying to sneak into countries, essentially, like immigrants sneaking into countries through like being small and mailing themselves
It
or
was
this or
like-
that. I don't remember all
There's
of
a
it.
couple
But
things. They make it
Do you remember
political.
it?
So there's, yeah.
yeah,
They make it political because it's like, oh no, immigrants can sneak in
like
super
sneak in
easy,
because they're tiny. Which
And
I'm like, they're
then-
tiny, so who cares?
and then it's like,
But-
oh now enemy spies can get in super easy and
Mm.
all this stuff, and they make which are that's a legitimate. If now your operative is 5 inches tall,
yeah,
that's
true.
a security problem for anybody anywhere. But and then does it show the
Is she-
woman in the TV box here?
I think it shows
Or is
her
that
picture.
later?
It shows a portrait.
It shows her picture and
of
it shows
her.
the TV
It
box.
shows the TV box. There's weird little holes in it and
So
blood coming
it
out
was
of the holes.
it was a bunch of
Right.
people got like
It
mailed
was
in
like
a TV
27
box,
people,
and they all died, but the one woman,
except her.
and she
They're
had to
from
get
Vietnam or something? I
yeah,
think?
she was
Yeah.
very sick and had to get like her foot amputated and stuff, but she survived. Everyone else died. And he just you just kind of hear that in the
It's-
background. He's watching the news, so you just kind of know about it.
But like, that should have been a 15-minute thing, because the second half of this movie is
Nope.
all about it's all about her.
It is.
And you
Kind of.
like, by the time you meet her 30 minutes later, the only reference you have to her was a picture on a TV on the screen of the movie.
TV box.
And you're
That
supposed
he
to
is
recognize
like
her.
silently watching
He's watching
Right.
while he has his like TV
as he
dinner.
passively walks through his like.
While he's
new tiny
depressed,
life
right?
he
He's
doesn't
drinking
want.
He's super
champagne
depressed.
from the
Yeah.
bottle.
Right.
Yes,
And
that is
the
it.
champagne bottle's a little bit too big.
Right,
Like,
because they
didn't
can't make
the
it small
tiny
enough
one the
again.
right
Yeah.
Like they
size.
tried, and it's
Yeah, it was just like a little bit too big.
so. Then it cuts to a year later. We have that.
Yes.
He's signing divorce papers, and by signing I mean it would
Standing
be like
on the
if in
paper.
front of me he's
Right.
on the table signing his name.
I like how they're like,
giant.
no, you get right as big as you can.
Right as
and
big
he's
as-
like,
It's
He's
like,
gotta-
damn it.
do the,
But I wish there was more of that, like tiny problems.
Right,
Or
I
this is
feel
the
like-
last time you see a tiny problem.
that's probably the
this
last
is the
time
last
you see
time.
a big person,
It
Right
might
there.
be the
Lawyer.
last time.
Yeah, the lawyer.
The lawyer, yeah.
for
Yeah.
the most part. Whoops.
But like,
Um,
every time they do a tiny person gag, it's at super depressing moments. Like,
Yeah.
he's in his house, and the one thing that shows up in his moving van
Oh yes, I
are
forgot about
his
that.
wedding bands. And because they're not organic, they're huge, right? The moving
They
guy has
bring
to
him
like
out,
put it
and
over
the
his
guy
shoulder.
has like he has like a
And it's
weight
like-
belt on to make
It's a-
sure.
they got the-
Yeah.
It's a gag, but Matt Damon looks like he's gonna kill himself. Like,
Right.
it's not
Yes.
funny.
It was, but
Well, like,
this is the moving truck. I think is the last glimpse of hope for the big to small transition being any focus of this movie, because
They
you're
just
like,
drop it after that.
they have this red box when they're big of keepsakes.
That's
You're like,
oh,
why
that's
is it
right.
shaped like that?
It's
and
a
then you
truck.
see it when
It's
they're in the
on
tiny
the
world.
truck.
It's the back of a truck.
They like
That's
legit
right.
set it on like a Tonka truck.
Because
kinda
I was
scenario.
wondering, before they get shrunk, they take their wedding rings off and put it in that
Yeah.
box. And I'm like, what's that
It's-
about? I don't. Then it shows up in an incredibly depressing,
Yeah.
like, look at how big that ring is.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
can't carry it.
Which
And
I understand the
It's-
movie is supposed to be like you were trying in life, you have this shitty depression scenario, then like who are you gonna be? But the way they did it is so fucking boring.
It
It
is.
is the worst way you
Right,
could show
so
someone's change and evolve
slow
and they're like finding their way. Like I get it, but it's boring. It is horrible.
Yeah.
It
It's
really
bad.
is.
I mean, I get it, loud and clear.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it.
I don't care. Like-
Yeah.
well, and you can it's almost like it's off screen. It's almost like it's quiet. You can barely hear it. When it cuts to 1 year later, the first thing you hear is you should have taken the first offer.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
lawyer says you should have
And you
taken
could
the
miss
first
it.
offer
You could miss it very easily
because
because he's
the
like on
next,
the phone or something.
Mm.
Or,
yeah,
or no,
it's
he's
like-
talking to him.
No, he's talking
He's on
to
the
him,
table.
but yeah.
because when last time we saw Matt Damon in Leisureland, he was wealthy and had a mansion.
He's a
The
millionaire.
giant.
Now
yeah.
we see him in Leisureland. He's living in a tiny apartment. So I'm assuming that, however, the assets got split up, the ratio
Which-
of 1,000 to 1 of tiny and small got
Right.
applied, and he
Right.
didn't get the equivalent of half. He got like
a
Nothing.
thousandth of a half. You know.
yeah,
But I
a
still don't-
1,000th of the half.
What I don't understand is they were living in his mom's house, so it's like his house. Yeah, they sold it, but you didn't go along.
but when you're married and
But
then
you
get
didn't go
divorced-
along with the papers you signed to do. I want to be like, how is he not? Whatever.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
They
know.
don't go
Um,
into
Yeah.
that at all. It's
They
that
don't
one
spend any-
line. That's like you can barely hear.
Never see Kristen Wiig again. You never
No.
hear about his wife. They flash
Nothing.
a picture of her at one point, but
So
Right.
yeah, now he's
Oh.
living in a shitty tiny apartment. He's working at Land's End, at like
Yeah, so now he's
doing
Customer
what is
customer
that?
service.
Customer
Thank
service.
you.
And he's poor in
Super
leisure
poor.
land.
Yeah,
He doesn't
which is
seem
like
that poor, but
extra effy.
as we'll see
Um,
later, he's not nearly as poor as he thought.
Right. But is that important to the movie? It doesn't seem to
We're not going
care.
to talk about it.
I think it puts things.
We're just
in,
going to show
I,
it to you,
I
and you're
think
going
We'll
to
for
just
feel
show
him-
bad.
you.
I think it's supposed to be like it's putting things in perspective for him. You know
But
that
it's
like.
you gotta sell it more than that.
Well, I'm not saying it was done
I know.
right. I'm just
Like,
know.
I never got. Are they trying to say like big or small? It doesn't matter. Life's the same. There's rich. There's middle. There's poor. I don't.
her thing in life was she wasn't rich or poor. She's helping others, and that's her job. You know, that's her.
Yeah, well,
Like,
we're
it's
not there
more of
yet. But, I
that.
mean, and he eventually
Okay.
has an arc, but it's not sold to you. It's not.
It's not
You
movie
gotta
worthy. It is
deliver that
regular
to me.
person worthy. Where if someone
But-
was like, do you guys remember Paul? And they told us a story about a friend, and you'd be like, well, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
how worthy it is. It's not make a movie about my
Right.
life worthy.
Well, I mean, he's the same at the end as he is in the beginning, in that he wants to serve other people. But the end
Mhm.
is that he's like helping people who need help and not doing
Yeah.
yes sir, may I have another, yes sir, may I have another to everybody in his life. But it's
It's
not
just-
presented well enough for you to walk away with like, you know, these problems that I think I have in my life can be turned into something much more meaningful.
Yeah.
It just doesn't convey what it
No.
is trying to sell you. I don't know.
I wrote down in my notes next, Paul is super fucking boring.
Yes.
Is because that's at the point where I
He
was
is.
like, what?
If you thought he was
What?
boring before,
It
just
gets
wait.
worse.
Yeah.
You're about to get a 20-minute
Okay. Well, here's
no thrill ride.
a slight up in the movie
Well-
is he
Potential up.
Well-
until it takes a half
Right.
an hour to get through this scene.
well, that's true. So he has a girlfriend. They have the most boring dinner you've ever heard in your life. It's very awkward, boring. His neighbor upstairs is having a party. Comes downstairs, talks to him, all this.
Dushan,
His
played
girlfriend's
by
gonna leave.
Christopher Waltz.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The potential up is at least
And
we
at,
have
at this point,
him.
we had been introduced to so many characters and
Oh.
not seen them again that I
Yeah,
thought,
I did-
oh, cool. Can't wait to not see Christopher Waltz for the
Well,
rest
that's
of
what I
this movie.
assumed too.
I thought it was going to be
First of all,
same with
I-
the girlfriend.
He's just the neighbor.
Never
which
knew
it
like
is.
anyone's name though.
No, Dushan's the only one I remember.
I didn't remember his name, so
'Cause
I
it's
just kept
douche.
being like neighbor.
Does anybody
And he
know
is.
the name of the captain?
Conrad.
Conrad, the guy who
No.
looked like
Conrad.
old
Conrad
Sting.
with
Oh,
Wait,
that guy.
But his girlfriend goes to leave. She essentially like breaks up with him. He's pissed. So he's like, I'm going up to the party. He brings his real rose.
Oh my
Yeah, he
goodness!
buys
a
Let
real
me put
rose.
this on
Yeah.
the screen.
He
There's
brings
the
his
captain.
real rose up to the party. So yeah, the neighbor's on the right. The captain is a crazy MFer. He's good too. He's on the left.
Right,
there.
these two characters, the neighbor and his friend, are the most interesting people
Oh,
in this movie
and
they're
by far.
they're
barely in it
jerks.
though, sadly.
They're
Yeah, they're
jerks, but at
absolute
least
jerks.
they're like actual people.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
thought
they have
out.
a personality.
Yeah. But he goes to this party, and again, you're treated
Yep.
to a 20-minute.
It's so
oh
long.
my god.
This is a long
20-minute
movie.
20 minutes of him. He sort of accidentally does drugs, and then I appreciated it cuts to him trying to throw up in the bathroom, and he can't
That's
do
my
it.
favorite.
And I
Can't
thought,
do it.
I
He's
I've been
enjoy
trying.
there.
that.
I've been
So,
there, my friend. Not
It
with
is
drugs.
the thing of
just-
the girl comes up and she's like, "Do you want this pill?" kind of thing, and he's like, "I don't know," and she kind of puts it in her mouth, and he's like, "Yeah, fine, give me the pill." They kind of like do the make out, like, "Here's a pill," which
It was all too real. It was
But-
all way too
But then-
real. Of,
I like all real, like that's happened.
you're-
That's
she-
never happened to you in your life.
but it
She's
wasn't
pr-
like a high school movie. Like this
No.
is cool. We're doing drugs at
No.
a party. It was like she's like hot. She comes up. They start
Excuse me?
dancing.
No,
She
I'm
pulls
kidding.
out a pill,
a drug.
and he's like,
A drug.
he's like, nah. He's like,
he
I
says,
don't-
I
don't do
can't
that."
take
He's
it.
like,
I don't
"I'm
know if I'm
allergic."
allergic to it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, right after he takes it, and she kind of dances away.
But then
so
she
he's-
leaves.
Yeah,
And
she
she was
leaves.
Never
so
to be seen again.
She was he just broke up with his girlfriend.
yeah,
And she's
he
this
thought
new
there
girl
was
is
more.
presented as like,
hey,
hey, I'm gonna take you on this journey, right? And he's gonna grow. Whether or not he winds up with this girl, he's
No,
gonna
she
grow.
gives it and she
She
dances
dips
out of
out.
there. Yep.
He's high as balls, which is funny for a second, as he just kind of
Right.
like
It is. That is when he actually
he
has a
walks through
personality.
the party and he's like smiling at everybody but not
Yes.
saying anything to
his
anybody.
cheeks
Yes.
are red, and he's
That's
just
really good.
in the
You know,
polo.
and then he's like
He walks
just
up to a
dancing
group.
by himself.
He walks up to a group and like gets wet, tries to get in on the circle, and I'm gonna take off my shoes.
Yeah.
Walks away.
And then but his dancing, it's honestly like a 10-minute scene of him
It goes on
It's
dancing
forever.
and
It's
walking.
so
And
long.
It flashes the yellow flower, and his ex-wife's face is in it.
It's in this.
But for no reason, we never
he never
ever
really
talk
cares
about it.
her. He's-
That's the last time you see
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig. There you go.
Yeah, it's a
But the thing
picture of
is,
her. It's a
he's never-
still frame of her in
he's
a
not
rose.
sad. He's not sad. He's not married to her. It's more like he's just
He doesn't
I
know
don't
what to do with himself.
yeah.
right?
He's
I think.
never like I miss her. He's just pissed that it's just not a thing. I don't. It's not like they
It's
weren't
very
actually.
unclear.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But this is
So-
a 20-minute drug trip scene.
Yeah, he has
with
a
no
he-
real purpose.
He does that. He has the party. He wakes up on the floor under a coffee table, and he wakes up in his neighbor's apartment because the cleaning crew is like coming in and knocked on the door.
Yeah, the neighbor's super wealthy, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Right.
His apartment
That
goes on
counts.
and on and
That
on
matters.
and on
Yeah.
and on.
It's like a
Does he-
city. Like the
Yeah.
club
Yeah.
is inside that guy's apartment.
Which I didn't understand because his
Yeah.
apartment was like the size of our kitchen.
And,
And
one
then the
floor up is
upstairs is like
a
8 of our houses
multi-floor,
times.
yeah.
It's never ending.
Right.
So
And at this point, right, the movie started off like this couple is going to get small. Let's see their adventures of being small.
Nope.
Now the movie has been this divorced man who is in a new world trapped away from his wife. What is his depression going to be like? And now it turned into this party. Let's see this journey. And now here comes the cleaning crew. We start movie number 3.
yeah,
Yes.
but at this part we haven't seen anyone big. So even though they're small, you can't tell they're small.
no.
So we essentially just have the problem of
for
someone
the
has
rose.
has
Right.
separated from their wife.
Small's completely gone
Small
from
is
the picture.
gone.
He could
Small
be
is
big, he could be
irrelevant.
small.
It doesn't matter.
anymore.
It's just he's depressed because of his wife.
The depression movie occurred in a world at which big or small does. Actually, the whole rest of this movie occurs in a world
Doesn't
at which
matter.
big or small doesn't matter.
That's why I go, why did we even do the small thing for the first 45 minutes?
Why'd we spend all that time talking about being small?
Who
And that
cares
was
about being small?
probably
Doesn't matter.
Nothing to
the
do
better
with it.
part? This middle part was the worst, though. Him in the apartment,
Yeah.
him in Leisureland,
Well, it's all bad.
being depressed.
The
I liked
party?
when the party went on forever. I liked the cleaning lady who becomes a main character,
Mhm.
So,
but she can't save it. She's
oh no, there's no,
No,
It's
saving.
too late.
He's talking to his neighbor who, like you said, Ben, seems douchey, but he's also like, no, I just tell the truth. Like, you seem kind of
He was blunt.
yeah. What does
Yeah.
he say? He's very
he's something like, I
direct
like
and
you,
blunt.
but he's like, you need to get your life together. You're kind of, he doesn't say depressed. He says,
don't know what
He
he
just
said.
keeps telling Matt Damon he's too American,
well, that.
right? You're too American. That's what he keeps telling him.
But while he's talking to him, he sees that the cleaning lady is like kind of limping around and having trouble. And because he's an occupational therapist, he's like, hold on, let me go talk to her. So he goes to try to help her, figures out she is the lady that was in the TV box that survived whatever,
like 40 minutes
The
ago,
4
lone
years
survivor.
ago, whatever the
Mhm.
heck
and
it
all
was.
you saw of her was a still picture.
Yeah, he somehow knows.
And
He wants to help her with her foot.
her,
or her,
prosthetic, right?
Yes.
Yes.
He wants to fix the prosthetic so she doesn't have like hip and knee
Yeah,
and
because
that
she's
sort of
kind
thing.
of like the way she's walking around, and she's like, "No, you'll come help my friend first, or whatever." So
Yeah.
he goes home with her. Okay, this is when I wrote down, I don't understand her accent because it sounded weird to me. But then I looked up Vietnamese accents, and they sound just like that.
Oh, really?
really?
Like spot on.
Someone was like, "No, they usually talk," and I was like, "Okay, it's spot on." I guess I've just never heard,
Yeah,
you
I've
know,
never heard it.
I don't know any Vietnamese people.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
was trying
so,
to speak English, so
exactly. It's like it's also that like trying to do this to when you're in the north, and I've just never heard. but it sounded just like it the way it said it. But at first I thought, is that how people sound? Because I've never heard that accent, I guess, but it sounded weird.
I don't know.
But she did great once I heard someone talk about it. She did fantastic. But he goes to help her. She has a friend in her. Okay, wait. Before I say that.
Did we skip anything?
No,
I don't think so, but there's a giant gap in my notes. This whole part of the movie is absent from my notes, actually.
Well, probably because well, hold on. He's going to go home with her. Sorry. And they like take a bus and switch buses and all this. They're kind of
Yeah,
going
he's
to
like,
like
why
the
don't we
bad
just
part
take a
of
car?
town.
And she's like, no, we take a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they keep going. They go through a tunnel that goes outside of the little like bubble of Leisureland, the little area. Sorry, I hit my
Right, outside
microphone.
of Leisureland.
And that's where it's like the slums essentially.
Yep.
It is all of a sudden this like makeshift apartment
And
kind
they're
of built
built
up.
in
This
like
is cool.
trailers.
I liked this. They were like old construction trailers,
Yeah.
normal sized,
Like if you
which
kinda,
are now skyscraper
yeah.
apartment buildings, basically.
Yeah,
That they just left behind, I assume, when they built Leisureland.
right.
Right.
These got
yeah.
left there, and somebody eventually turned them into.
But it's also
super
that
cheap
thing of
apartment.
like, if everyone's this big, do you know how easy it'd be for like a 10-year-old to come and be like, this is nicer and put something. I don't
Right.
like.
right.
Part of me wanted to be like, do we really need this many people living in the slums? It would cost someone $20 to be like, here's a new house
Well, I think
and set. I don't know.
But
I just.
I
It's
think
trying
the
to
point
show-
was like, there's the slums no matter if you're big or
Right.
small.
I get it. I just find it stupid. Is what.
and it's
saying.
it's also one of those things like, well, great up, no shit, Sherlock. What are we gonna do about it? It's a movie. Are we
Yeah.
gonna like explore how difficult this is in
Well,
gritty detail?
Right,
we
and
gonna
I
solve it?
I don't
It's
think
a
are
I
they
got a
presenting
picture of
to
it.
are they presenting
Oh.
it to us so that we can like are we supposed
Are we
it
supposed to
was
feel
presented
bad?
in a way at which like, okay, now this is the new plot. This is important.
Yes.
So
that's
this is
true.
now the
This
new
is
thing.
a big deal, I guess.
He goes home with her, and she has a lady who has like, I don't even know what it was, some kind of
What
cancer.
does she say? Yeah, like stomach cancer.
She
I
has
think?
she has cancer, and so she took her in because she's like, no one else is helping her, this and that. Which I'm like, wouldn't you have like a pre-checkup before you get small? But whatever. And they'd be like, hey,
Well, I think this
cancer,
was the
probably
whole-
shouldn't get.
It was
small,
all the
but
same immigration stuff in the beginning that they mentioned,
That's true.
passing. That like, well,
Yes.
now you just have small immigrants, and
Like,
same thing happens.
so she is like, try to help her and stuff, and he's like, I can't help her. Like, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
So he tries the best he can, but then essentially he's there to help, like, try to fix her foot. So he tries to fix it, messes it up, kind of like breaks her thing, and so then he's like helping her out for the time being until she can get a new foot. Is the overall. But
Right.
what were you gonna say?
Oh,
This
I-
is
I
the
was gonna
third
say-
movie.
Yes, the
Yeah,
third
her.
movie
Here we come.
is like the two of them together. But what I was gonna say is the funny kind of joke was like that Mexican woman with the cancer. Her husband didn't make it through the small process
Oh my
because
God.
he
Yes.
I forgot about that.
had a
They did the
gold
dentistry
filling,
wrong. Yeah.
Yes.
and his head
His
blew
head
up when he
explodes.
turned little.
That's when, Matt Damon's like,
Which
I'm
is like-
sorry, what? And she's like, blew up. And she just keeps
Right.
yelling it. And he's
Which-
like, oh my God. Like,
Again, the small big joke here, gruesome and despair.
Every
right?
time.
Like it
Every
can't
time.
be that like I'm trapped under a glass cup or something. Like,
No.
can't you?
It's
No.
always horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Here we are in the third movie, right? He's trying to help out
Mhm.
this like Vietnamese woman. All of a sudden, he's helping out everybody she knows, and now she can't do her work, so now he has to do her work for her
Yep.
and carry her around. And then she also
Yes.
was very humanitarian to these low-income people, right? She would bring back stuff from the rich Leisureland
yeah.
people.
So she
Right.
owned
Olive
the,
Garden stuff
Did
and
she own the
food.
cleaning company?
Yes,
I guess
she
so.
did.
I
think she did. So all the rich people there are like, oh, I'm getting rid of all my party food, my whatever food, you can take it. And she'd bring it back to all these people
Mhm.
who are living there and like serve out the meals and everything. So even though, like you said, she didn't have her foot, she essentially was on Matt Damon's back, and then he would help
She is
like
literally on his back
clean.
at
Yeah,
some point.
Right.
she is.
Yeah.
And
Then
so
she gets a
he was
peg
helping
leg.
her out.
Yeah.
But
This
he,
is when I said in a preview, it should have been like, an unlikely friendship.
Right.
in that
Well,
part.
like, I like
That's
this.
what
These
it was.
two I like. These two are the only, and it's mostly her. I like
Yes.
her.
Yes.
Is pretty much the only likable character and storyline that makes sense. It's
But
cohesive.
we could
You
have got
underst-
here faster.
This should have been the movie.
Sure.
Also, we don't need to be small. The small part has nothing to do
Absolutely
Oh
not.
with
yeah,
this.
it's again irrelevant.
Why did we get small? Why did we go through the procedure?
And if you're not
Why-
going to use the small thing to be funny, you're not
Get rid of
using it
it.
at all.
Then why spend so much time constructing the world of the small? This is
No.
the thing. It's not like let's say you want to be in a new world, and it could be you are on a spaceship, you went to another planet, you turned small, you were moved to another country, it doesn't matter. There was a natural disaster. Now it's always dark in the day and always light at night. Like
No.
it doesn't matter, right? They put them in this new world, but they spent so much time.
It was half of the
The
movie.
movie's called Downsizing, and they spent so much time building up the world of the small as being important part of this movie, and it is not at all. Zero.
No,
Once they're
zero.
little, they could be
Nothing.
anywhere.
Doesn't matter.
And it also is once they, other than one time he mentions making a recipe, it's like they don't have
Couldn't.
small dill, they had small whatever it is. Other than that, they never
Hilarious.
mention mention
Hilarious.
anything like, oh, we can't get medicine small. We can't get everything is
Right.
available. It seems.
What about like an interesting? I mean, they say like, oh, the woman's husband couldn't get small because he had somebody had
Yeah.
a hip or something.
Yeah, it was the
and they can't remove
yeah
his
lady
hip.
doing
That was
the
the salesperson,
Yeah,
the
sales
lady. That's
timeshare
right.
sales
And so,
lady.
but like, it's always just in
Everything else-
passing.
But
It's like, oh no.
everything else, even in like the slums, in the rich, in the whatever, they have everything. They have curtains, they have can openers, they
Yep.
have everything you could ever imagine. They're never like, oh, we haven't gotten this yet because it's only been what, like
5
10,
years, 4
15,
years, 10
whatever.
years. I
It
don't
doesn't
know.
even
Yeah.
matter. Even if it was 10 years, you'd be like, we haven't gotten that yet, right? Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like, yeah, we've gotten small everything.
Yep.
But yet they have literally small everything. Even her gain a foot. It's like, yeah, we'll just talk to the guy. Oh, is there a guy in the community that makes small
the doc.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Ri-
They said that Leisureland had the best small person medical facilities.
Okay. I can understand maybe that.
That's
But
how
the
she
fact
got
that-
there. Actually, after she
Is
was in the
it?
TV
Okay.
box, they
Yeah.
wrote.
Oh
Yeah,
my
That's
God.
why she's there.
But
that
just-
was in that 15-second news clip that we watched Matt Damon watch, which turns out a huge part of this
Which is
movie.
the whole
Apparently, because
Yeah.
It's
here's
the summary of the movie.
like I totally expect for us to enter a new movie, right? And for every character from the previous movie to leave.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when it does the 2 weeks
Say
later
that again.
cut,
Yes.
All right.
Now it
say
does
that
2
again.
weeks later. Yep.
Every
time
character is a new movie.
is right.
Yes.
Exactly. You start a new movie when you meet a new character. So when he's still helping her 2 weeks later and they're cleaning his neighbor's apartment
Yep.
again after a party,
Mm-hmm.
and he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, you got to help me out. Like I can't do this anymore." And they're like, "Don't worry, we'll help you out."
These are
So
the
they
rich
sit-
neighbors. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. They sit him. All three of the men are on the one side of the table.
Conrad.
She's on the other.
Conrad's there. Don't
And
worry.
they're like, "Hey, we got to take Paul to Norway, to the original colony. I'm sorry."
For
Because
a
she's
medical-
like really demanding up to this
Right.
point, right?
She's
Like
beating
she's
him up.
very
Yeah.
like, "No, you're
Yep.
gonna help me." And it totally backfires in their face, right?
Yes. This
She-
is the one clip that when I looked it up, everyone was like, oh my God, this is the best clip in the movie and all that. When she talks
Probably.
about going to Norway.
Well, and you
Really?
get her
Because I
real,
felt like
well, you get
felt
her,
like
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I really felt bad for Paul. Like he was trying to get his buddies to help him get out of this bad sitch, and then like it totally backfires in their face. So this whole like sob story about like her wanting to have gone there and all this stuff, I was like, of course, like of course, this is
because
gonna
that's her.
happen.
Then you
No, but,
finally,
He
you
fucked up her
finally get
foot.
the
Like, that's
character.
his-
You finally
Sounds
get
like
the
you got an
backstory
issue.
on
She's
her.
a slumlord.
No, she is not.
You finally get the story on her that they should have
Yes.
given you at that news clip, which was that she was famous for a while, right? Because she
Mhm.
survived this TV box
Well, she also,
transport.
though,
She lost
She
a leg.
got
She was in the news.
she got
She got
small because she was in jail. They
she
did
was
that
forced
without
to get
her
small.
It was a
Right.
wanting to do
punishment.
it. It was a
Right.
punishment.
All of that should have been like earlier in the movie, or at least some of
Yeah.
it. So you knew that when you meet her again as this cleaning woman, you're like, oh, okay, an actual that would be the first recurring character in this movie that doesn't
Yeah.
just have a few scenes and leave.
Right.
Yeah, so when she would what's my word? Not picket,
I have no idea.
like
don't know.
Protest?
protest. Thank you.
Yes.
Jeez Louise, sorry. She protested in Vietnam when they were like trying to do different things in her village. Like
They were building a
building
dam that was going to
dam.
flood
Yeah.
a whole bunch of villages.
And so she was protesting. They put her in jail. And then as a punishment, when she was in jail for like, I think they said 2 years, they made her small. That's when she, I guess, tried to escape.
I guess they
I
escaped
don't remember
in the
that
TV
part.
box. I don't.
Yeah,
That was
they
never made
That
couldn't
clear.
was
really
never
say.
made clear. But she didn't want to be small. So it's all this like she was in jail, she was punished, all this. She's been through all this stuff. So once she lived and survived after all this, yeah, she was like you said, she was famous and kind of this like people wanted to talk to her, but in her head she said, I think she said to Paul one time, it's easier to like work, get money, and then help
Right.
others
Go to work,
than
get
like
paid. I think she
yeah,
said,
then
you know,
live
and
this
help
like
people.
fame life kind of thing. So
Okay.
that's why
Yeah.
she's like
Right.
that.
She's like a saint, kind of, right? She's just very giving. That's
Yes.
all she sort of cares about.
So
that's-
yeah, their plan backfires.
She's
And
like
she's
Paul,
like,
but
"I'll
she
go to
knows what to
Norway."
do with this serving attitude.
Right.
Yes.
Like
She's
Paul
like,
is a
Exactly.
servant, but he has no clue what to do with it.
He's too passive. She's very blunt, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
right.
And
so
eventually
she's-
we get there, but my God, it takes forever.
She says, "Let's go to Norway," and so they're like, "I guess we'll go to Norway," because they like effed up this
Sure.
plan.
And we hard cut to movie
Hard
number
cut
4.
to Norway. We're on a boat to Norway.
We are now in movie number 4.
Yeah.
They're on Old Man Sting,
Conrad's
the captain. His boat that he had talked about earlier, that he loves his boat.
Yep.
And this is like, you know, like Jason said earlier in the chat, like, what if there's a storm or a wave or a small like wind?
If you were like this
I'm
big
pretty
on a
sure
river, like the
they
size of a duck-
addressed this earlier in the movie.
Do they?
Paul
Well-
meets the captain at the party. He's like, "Oh, your boat's here. You can't sail that on the sea."
He
He says, "No, I FedEx it."
Yeah.
But then now we're here driving a 5-inch boat.
And it
I know
doesn't
it's a-
look
I know it's a-
small.
No,
They don't.
that's
they,
the problem.
They don't show it being tiny.
I wish they
in
would
the
have
because
showed
it
it
would-
from
Would be
far
freaking
away.
bobbing around like
On
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, the even the calmest of seas is never calm enough to
Imagine like a
It
little.
would have to be a
thimble
bathtub.
size.
Yeah.
It would have to be a
It's not
still
thimble
bathtub.
It'd be like this big.
But a toy.
a toy boat though, if you had it, it would be
I
like
mean, 20
all
inches,
over the
yeah,
place.
40
Yeah.
inches.
like crazy.
And that's the
thimble.
thing.
How big do you think they are?
Whatever. Like, but
But they previously said, "Hey, we can't do this with this boat," and then here we are doing it,
They're
and they're
doing it.
towing like a barge of Svedka vodka.
Yeah,
is
vodka
it
bottles.
vodka?
Yeah, it's
is
vodka
it for the
bottles.
vault? Is it for the vault community?
I just
I think
assumed
it's
because
just
they were
they like
party
to drink.
boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand though. They're on the boat. They show. Maybe I missed it. Also, maybe I fell asleep. Paul at night kind of like hears
no,
something.
you didn't miss anything. He
And then in the
No.
morning, the Norway
goes
scientist
back
who
to
started
sleep.
this all
It was
is
him.
like there.
It was him on the boat.
It was so weird
But
though.
it was like, what? I don't.
like first of all, they're suddenly here. They're on a boat. They're whatever. They're
It's him and
pulling
his wife.
a little tiny barge of bottles of vodka. Everybody has sweaters on. Suddenly, they're very like
It's very
We're headed to
Norwegian.
Norway.
Yeah,
Wait,
right.
where were they before? They're in the U.S., right?
They were in New
I
Mexico.
assume so. That's right.
New
yep.
Mexico, and
They
they
were in New
all of a sudden
Mexico.
they went all that way in a
No,
toy
they
boat.
FedEx the boat there.
Yeah, they all
Okay.
got shipped
Then they
there.
take it up the
Okay.
fjords.
Jesus, where the
But
heck?
you're right.
Yeah.
This was so weird. So he looks out. What is it called? A portcullis, one of those little circle windows. In the middle of the night, because he heard a noise, he looks out. There's another boat. It's not made clear if that boat
I
is
don't
small or
remember
big.
that. I
I thought
remember
it was a
him-
big
That's a
boat
good
about to
point.
run them over. I couldn't tell. It just looked like
Good
a normal
point.
boat. Apparently, it was another small boat.
I don't even remember that. I remember
Maybe it
hearing
was
a
a big
noise,
boat.
and that's it.
I don't
It's
know.
like
but
15 seconds. He looks out, He does
Okay.
nothing, and
Goes
then
back
it's
to
morning.
bed, right? Yeah, and then in
Right.
morning, someone else was there, and I was like, how?
The scientist from the beginning, from
Yes.
the guy at the little podium,
Him and his wife.
wife are there, and they're drinking coffee in a very European way,
Oh.
in the cold with a sweater, and he's like, "Let's enjoy the view" or something. I don't know what he says.
All of a
Well,
sudden,
he
he's like,
says,
oh, it's you. And it's like, why? I'd be like, how the fuck did you get on the boat? Is what my
Yeah.
first question
He saw
would
them
be.
got on the boat. Remember?
I don't remember.
Apparently.
Right? So the scientist is there, and he's all like, "Whoa," and he's all mad. And he storms out kind of and leaves. And the wife is like, oh, ever since the news. And Paul is like, I'm sorry, what the heck are you talking about? And she's talking about there was methane released from like the Arctic or something, ice. I don't remember exactly what they said in the movie.
They never
if
say
it
this
melts,
in the movie.
it releases methane, and the more it
Yeah.
melts, the more methane comes out, or something
Yeah.
like that.
But
Like I saw a positive feedback loop is how this was described,
Right.
but that was in something I read. It was
Yeah.
not said in the movie.
But in it, they're saying essentially it's like going to kill all the humans. And
It's
he's
the end
like,
of the
that's
world.
it. It's the end of the world, the end of the human
Yeah, he's
race.
like miserable, right?
And
I
he's all
considered,
pissed.
I think of this as the beginning of the fourth movie, because up
Yes.
until now,
Now it's about something
there's
else.
no reason to think anything should be like different when they get to Norway.
That's true. Maybe they're just on another adventure together.
Yeah.
And then
Until
this
now.
guy just like, and from this point on, it's an end of the world movie.
No, yeah, all of a sudden it's totally different. So he's pissed and the wife's like, "Oh, we barely had enough time to like get out and pack," which I'm like, "Is this like end of the world? Like we have a week? Is this
Right? It's very
years?"
unclear. And
Nobody
I assume,
says. Do we have 20
like,
It
minutes?
will happen.
Do we have 20 years? I don't know. Nobody
It
says.
seems-
I think
seems like
Go
they
ahead.
jumped the gun on the end of world talk. Like if there was suddenly, I don't know how many cubic miles of methane in the air,
Right?
how long does that take? I
well,
don't have
and
any
they
idea.
never
No
it's
one-
never confirmed on a wider scale that it's
No.
actually going to
Right.
happen.
That's
it's
a
just
very-
this guy who thinks it's going to happen.
Well, he's like,
he's
there were-
convinced his
He's
his,
like, there were
you'll see later,
40
cult.
scientists in the room, you know.
Yeah, and everybody was convinced that the end of the world
But
is nigh.
once
but like,
again, no one was asking the question of how long. Not one person was like,
Well, all you got
do
to
we
do is
have a
cut to
day? Do we have...
another. This is where you use like a news station,
another news feed.
Yeah.
and you say like, okay, 180 countries have confirmed.
No, I think it's
Something. Rising-
purposefully
whatever.
obscure in that maybe there isn't a news thing about it, and this maybe there is,
Maybe this
maybe
guy's
there
a
isn't.
nut job.
I don't know. Maybe this guy's a nut job. Maybe
I
he
don't
isn't.
know.
He's convinced the world's going to end. But this is also the guy who thought the world was going to end so bad he thought it was a good idea to make everybody
Shrink
5 inches
everybody
tall.
5 inches, yeah.
I don't know. But no one seems to be two-faced. I feel like I'd be kind of a wreck if someone told me that and then ran off crying. But nobody seems to
Yeah,
have too
you
much of a
don't get-
problem. They're kind of
I
like,
don't
oh,
know.
that's too bad.
Because it seems like the older guys, the other two guys on the boat, Conrad and his friend, they do think he's a kook, right?
Yeah.
They're like friendly with him, but they're like, okay, buddy, well, here's your vodka.
Which
we'll
I
still
get.
bring it.
But I
Right.
there aren't as many questions as I would have if someone
Right.
said that to me.
But
We're at an hour and a half,
yeah,
and this
More.
movie is now an end of the world movie.
yes.
You got to give me something to go with here,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like,
it's now end of world.
hey,
So
okay, tell me that Greenland is underwater.
right, like give me something.
get it.
You can tell
See,
because
whatever.
yeah,
You don't have
No.
to spell the science out.
they don't
Tell me
give you
California
anything.
sunk.
The only time
Whatever.
before this we even heard about the methane gas was from Matt Damon's girlfriend at the boring dinner.
She mentions it for like 2
And
seconds.
she's like, haven't you heard about it? And
That's
he's like,
right.
he's like so
"No."
depressed. He's like, no, I don't watch the news.
And that's
Like,
it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
though.
it. That's it.
That's it. And now it's the end of the world.
So
So everything about, remember the people in the slums in Leisureland and how there was rich Leisureland people and
Doesn't matter
poor?
now.
Doesn't matter now. We're gonna go to a completely different
now
world.
we're a different movie here.
It's absolutely nothing like
Wait,
anything
hold
we've
on.
seen before.
Before this though, before they go to Norway,
Why are we in Hobbiton?
Hold on, we're not
Yeah.
there yet.
And how on earth did this succeed as the first small people colony? Right? Because you see
But-
the other one has like nets on it, and it's
I
got
know.
all this stuff to
No,
like
well, they
protect.
explain they're like by the
Yeah,
water.
close enough to
Mosquitoes
the
don't
water.
bother
We
us.
found out that the birds prefer to eat lemmings instead of humans. Oh, so they just
Okay.
leave you alone?
But also them being
Idiots.
like by the water, the mosquitoes. I want to
Right.
be like, first of all, mosquitoes are like they lay eggs in the water, so I'm gonna stop you right fucking there.
Also,
But also,
if it
a
rains
mosquito-
8 inches,
A
you
mosquito
guys are all
would be
dead.
like a nightmare.
Oh, it would just
Can you-
kill you.
It
It'd be a
would.
battle.
It would come and go right through your entire body. It would just. Oh my
A
gosh,
mosquito
I'm like
wouldn't
knocking down
even
glasses.
a
It
mosquito
would kill
wouldn't
you.
come after you because you're too small.
But well, maybe that's when they survived. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, before then though. I
Hobbiton.
think her name is Noklin. I don't know. I'm sorry, the Vietnamese
No,
woman.
I don't know
it's
her name
Nok
either.
Lan or something
Is
like
it?
that.
Nok Lan,
It's
that
something
sounds
like
right.
I
that.
think it's
Naklan?
Nok Lan or Nok Lan.
Naklan?
It's like two words.
They
I feel like
honestly
they
say
say it
names
once.
twice in this. You never hear them. So she all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, I got to go to bed.
oh,
My
you're
leg
right.
hurts.
I forgot about
This
this.
is why I was
this
like,
is
hold up.
important.
This
She's
is
like,
important.
oh, my leg hurts, and he's like, okay, well, come help you, like,
Check
and
it out.
so then when he's like rubbing her leg, which is weird, I don't know,
She's got chafe.
she's,
He's
like,
moisturizing it.
pretending to sleep.
She's definitely pretending to sleep.
And he's like, this seems like a good time that I should just go kiss her, which
Oh, I
Ben
didn't
wrote
get
down,
that.
like, creepy rape kiss.
Yeah.
I
Well, I didn't want to write rape kiss. I wanted to put sleepy kiss.
You said rape kiss.
Don't
but you-
kiss somebody when they're asleep that you've never kissed.
I got the sense that this was one of the few times she has ever relaxed. She's got a man rubbing her leg.
Okay.
She's
Maybe.
here in Norway.
Maybe that's it.
She's breathing calm because she's a pretty like high energy
That's
character.
true. And maybe that is the case. But him being like, this
He
seems
goes
like a
for
good
it,
time
yeah.
to. So she, of course, wanted to. They like sleep together. The next morning when they wake up, instant couple. Hugging.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
together.
They're
10
standing
points.
close.
10
yeah.
points for showing that they're gonna have sex and then just going to the next scene.
Right.
Thank God in this movie.
If they
Can you
had tried-
imagine if.
Can you imagine what this movie would
Ugh.
if whoever made this movie made a sex scene, I would have turned
Oh my
it off.
gosh.
It
They
would
would
be
have been
the
like,
worst
this is
experience
a
of my
real
life.
sex scene. It would have been a 20-minute, like,
Just
like,
butt. Just Matt Damon's butt. That's all it would be.
No.
So anyway, they're
then
in
they
love.
arrive in Norway. So Ben, you
Oh,
can
bring
do the
back
picture.
Hobbiton.
Hobbiton.
So what I wrote
Hobbiton
down.
returns.
Do you guys remember David the Gnome on Nickelodeon?
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
no, you imagined that in a fever dream
It
one
was-
summer
no, it was
when
a
you
Did
were
he
cartoon.
ride
7.
on a fox?
He rode on a fox.
Oh, that's
Wasn't he a
sweet.
doctor?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was
so
like a gnome
he
doctor.
was a gnome
Accomplished.
in the little gnome land. There was a cat in the area that was like their arch enemy. He rode on a fox. Their chipmunks were their friends and stuff. But this
Let's watch
reminded me.
this. God, tell me more. I don't want to talk about this movie anymore.
David the
Let's talk
Gnome
about
was one of
David
my
the
favorite
Gnome.
cartoons. It was on Nickelodeon. It was
David
fabulous.
the Gnome.
Let's. Can
You
I
should
just?
look up just Google David the Gnome and you'll see. But
The Gnome.
You guys.
this was very
The
David the Gnome.
world
They
David
entered
the Gnome.
and it was like we're in like you said, Hobbit land. Like we're a whole nother world.
This is talking about this is as exhausting as it was watching this. Like,
Yeah, I didn't want to do this podcast. I'm not going to lie to you.
I
Okay,
just
well,
hate
here,
having
it
let me
fun.
just
so
run through
much.
it then a little bit.
I'm hating
Good,
it now.
good
Once-
friends make bad things better,
Once
I
they
guess.
get to
but-
Norway, first of all, I
Yeah.
feel like there's for that picture of so many houses.
Oh, I'm sorry. This picture.
Like it seems like way too many people run out in the streets, and I
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to
not
be
a
like,
giant community.
whoa, are like 20
Like, what
people
do we
a
got?
house?
No, you
or
go to
what
the
we
right.
got?
You got
This
some
way.
houses back
Maybe.
on the right. It
Maybe we
backs
got
up
some,
over
yeah.
there.
Oh, look, it goes way over here.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, whoa, there's a lot of people. But then there's one lady that comes out, and she's like extra
Who,
kooky
like,
and crazy.
like
and
photoshopped this guy in
Right.
back here, and this guy.
Let me put a couple bits back here. Also, how do you
let-
get grass to grow on your roof if your house is only like 12 inches high?
Yeah, I don't
why
understand.
is
How
the
is there a
grass
grass,
not-
normal sized grass? Like,
Yeah.
let's look over here.
wouldn't it be the big
That's
grass?
Here's
normal
normal grass.
size.
Yeah.
What is this grass?
Is that moss?
Maybe
gotta
it's
be
moss. Could be
Still.
moss.
Let's
No,
call
that
this
could be
director.
moss.
Think about how
Call
many
this
weeds you
stone
get in a
director.
potted plant. There would
Yeah.
be. It would be insane.
Yeah.
It would
Apparently
be
it wouldn't
over,
be.
It would.
Based on this evidence I see before me,
Right.
Stupid.
it's not.
The evidence, he says.
They get there. A crazy lady comes out of the house, and everyone acts
Oh,
like
what the
they
fuck
know
was
her.
this about?
I don't know her name.
don't
She
know.
was weird, and she's
She's
like
presented.
"Wah!" over
She's
the
presented
top.
like you're supposed to know who she is.
Right.
No clue.
Like-
no clue.
Like you've seen her before or something.
And it goes on, and she greets everybody, and she's like
She's
doing her act,
kissing and this and that. And then she's
But
like,
the-
"Do you want to see what I have in here?" And she shows
But
Paul.
the doctor is like
He
everybody
bow- he
loves this woman
dips.
except the doctor. He's like,
And
no, I got it.
There's
I
no
got it.
reason. He just
No. It doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden she's like, "Come look at this." And she shows their little like lab for the vault. So the vault is an area where people can go live for up to
here we go.
8,000 years. Like trees, plants, the whole works. It's like, I don't know how many miles in the Earth's core. So they can live there until the Earth is like, the Earth's surface is good to go again, right?
Right.
But she's like, "It's my idea," and all this stuff. And you're like, who the fuck are you, first of all?
doesn't matter because
I-
you never see her again.
You never see her again.
She gets her 2
They-
minutes of like
They act
overacting.
like she's a main character.
I don't even know what to say about this part. I was
then-
so checked out by the time we
Yeah.
got here.
and it just gets
Like, it's a
dumber
It's a whole
and
nother.
dumber.
It gets crazier.
Guys,
so,
let's
wait,
think back. No, think back to where we were in the beginning. We
Hold
have a
on.
married couple who is having some trouble, and they think they can have a happier life if they turn small. We are now in a Norwegian cult that lives with giant
Yes.
mosquitoes
About
and
the
is
end of the
building a
world.
vault,
end of the world.
and they're
It
going to
is-
go hide in it until the end of the world.
Yeah,
What?
totally
the
different.
Like what?
So then, though, we're at like dinner, and a bunch of I wrote very, very European people, because I mean it's 90% Norway, which
I don't know
also
how you can tell, but you can tell
can
that
tell.
all these people are from Europe. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the
But
facial features.
they're all like chanting about the vault, which is very culty, creepy. But also, if we're gonna go live in a vault, should we have maybe notified like other races, other countries, other
No.
people?
It's just the original crew.
we're
No.
just gonna be
They don't want you to spoil it.
99% Norwegian, and then
A perfect world,
Maybe.
finally.
like,
Yikes.
seriously,
Yikes.
there's like one black guy in the crowd that I want to be like, "Bud,
He's not allowed in.
You-
Didn't you hear that part?
Oh no!
oh
Stop!
my god."
Stop.
But I want to be like, should we get some like different people in? Maybe because
Should we think about this for a little while?
maybe let's talk about
Nah.
because
Nah.
they're like,
Nah.
we're gonna continue the human race, and I want to be like, yeah, but you're missing like
Just us.
99% of the human race.
Look, I'm pretty sure that this part of the movie, I
turns into a cult. We're just watching.
Yeah,
a
I think
cult.
this
You're
is from
absolutely
this
right.
is from a different movie.
Yes.
but I think, and it's never said, right? I think that maybe the scientist was overreacting and that it is an Armageddon and these people are putting themselves in a vault prematurely, unnecessarily.
Whether or not, though,
But you would never know.
It's
The
you
movie
don't know
will
either
never
way.
tell
That
you.
could be the case.
But it's,
So okay, in this though, Paul is like, "Oh my God, there's a reason I'm
Paul
here."
Atreides.
There's
That's a much better movie.
man,
Stop.
God, I want to watch that movie.
Stop.
You guys made me
We need
watch
to get
this
through this.
Go
bullshit
watch
instead.
Doom.
Paul,
Dune.
stop.
Dune.
Say Doom.
Yeah, I did say Doom.
My another good friend has been texting. He's been watching it while he's at work from home. He's like, "Man, this is awesome."
I'm gonna watch it again. It was so good.
was-
Did you see 2049? Blade Runner 2049?
No, I need to watch that.
Go watch
No.
that. It's the same
Okay.
guy.
Hold on, we have to finish this stupid movie.
I'll
Okay.
talk about any
Hold
movie
on.
but this one right now.
I
It's-
don't
we're
want to talk
we're
about it anymore.
almost
It
done, so
sucks.
shut up then.
It's
Exhausted.
so
Paul,
shitty.
Paul
Wait, we're about
thinks
to get to
he
the
should-
worst part
We're almost done
of
though.
the whole
All right.
movie.
Paul wants to go in the vault. He thinks the reason he's there, the reason he got small, got divorced, met, I don't know her name,
Whatever her name doesn't
Nochlin,
matter.
whatever,
Knockland.
and Conrad and the neighbor and
Right.
all this, and
Was
got
meant
there,
to be.
went to Norway, and all this was meant to
Join
be.
the cult.
He's like, I need to help start the
He's on
human race
board.
again. All this, I need to go into the vault. Everyone else thinks he's crazy. This is the good part when the neighbor Conrad is like, no, they're a cult, and he like says it very
Does he
blunt
say
to
it?
him. He says it to them, and he's like, no, they're a cult.
Right.
And it's like
Obviously.
silence for a second, and it is one of the best lines in the whole
I
movie.
probably went to the bathroom.
It's
and
when
just
they're
let
like
it
dancing
run.
around a fire, like banging on drums and
Yeah,
stuff.
and that's when he's like, "There's a reason I'm here," and he's like, "No, Kooks Fest, like they're
Oh,
just
that makes
crazy."
way more sense.
And Paul doesn't believe him, and then the
I gotta
girl
watch
goes
Dune.
into the how they had sex. This part
This
is like you
so
said for
awful.
yes. So
I-
she says, "You make fuck with me," is what she says.
I don't
And
even
she
wanna
keeps
talk
going
about
over it.
this.
And
I
she's
don't
like,
want to talk about it
she's
either.
like, "There's
But it's the
love
worst
fuck.
part of the movie.
There's
There's 8
I don't
things.
even know friend
and
fuck.
she
I don't
clearly
even know
got
what
it
she
from like a
says.
show.
Yeah.
She's like, and like he knows what she's talking about. He's like, no,
But he doesn't like want to admit it.
that's
Yeah.
like from a show, and it's more
Right.
than that, which is
Yeah.
true, of course,
And she's
right?
like,
But
"Tell me
she's-
what kind of fuck you did," which I'm
but
like,
she
"Tell me
says-
it like stop."
She says it like 30 times.
Oh yeah, it's like
and-
nonstop.
I'm not like a holier than thou person, but like
I
it
wanna be
doesn't
like,
have
stop.
any
Not like
value at
this.
that point.
Right.
No, yeah.
And it's
Don't do
supposed
me
to be
like
a
this.
and it's also a pivotal moment in the only character relationship in the entire movie.
And it's just an awkward, like
And
weird.
it's played for like a weird laugh, I think.
I don't know.
I
But
don't know.
then it cuts to total silence. The whole clan is watching the sunset go down for the last time because it's the last time they're going to see
Right.
the
this is
sun.
also
before
a very
going in the
long
vault.
scene.
It is a legit 3-minute scene of the sun
Staring at the
going
sunset.
down, and it's total silence, and it's them just watching. Super creepy, super culty.
Yeah, for sure.
Paul says goodbye. Ben's like
You're gonna
echoing
turn on the
in
knee
his
cam?
We got to get the cringe. This the F cam.
what is happening?
Was it? I don't even
Oh
want
my
to say
God.
it. I hate what she says.
Paul-
It's like such
I'm
a
not gonna
bad
say it.
scene. Because like I like her. She's the most
We gotta get the knee cam.
The knee
interesting
hurts.
character in the movie.
I
And
have
then
to go
they
get an
just give her
MRI
this,
after this.
they give her like this monologue that just makes her
I hate it.
seem
It makes
dumb
her seem really
and
stupid. Yes.
yeah.
And I want to be like, she's not stupid. She's a very smart
Right.
person.
She's
She's
like
been
been
one of the
heroic
smartest
up to
people in
this
this
point.
movie.
She's
yeah.
very smart. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she wants. And they're making her seem stupid just because of a language barrier.
right.
And I hate that because it's I just
Right.
And I hate it
everything
even
about
more.
it.
I hate it even more because I know what she's trying to get from him.
Yes.
Yes.
Is like, you know,
Yes.
like, well, what are we?
Like,
What
what did it
was
mean?
that? What did
Yes.
it mean to you?
what
all
do
this
I
kinda
mean to
shit.
you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And instead they did it in this stupid, like, very comedy way. And you're like, is this supposed to
Ugh.
mean something
Comedy
or not?
for who?
I don't
Right.
know.
Nobody
I-
watching this movie. Everybody left.
I don't.
Yeah, nobody's even there
So,
anymore.
Paul goes
Nobody
Playing
would-
to an empty.
No one's ever heard this joke except us.
All right, but Paul essentially says like "fuck it," and he goes into the vault with
No,
his
he's
little
gonna do it.
rolly
Yeah.
suitcase.
He even gets cult clothes.
Yeah.
he goes in. They're about to close. He's
The
talking
rolling
to another
suitcase
guy
is quite funny
where it's
because
like,
everybody
dun,
else
dun,
has
dun,
like
dun. Everyone
packs
else is like
on.
carts
hiking.
and like
Yeah.
Donkeys and stuff.
He goes in
Right.
though, and he's like, "How long is this?" Like walk to the vault, and the one guy's like, "I think like 11 hours." He's like, "Stay hydrated," and he runs ahead, and that's when he's like, which I once again, is this supposed to be funny? Where he's like,
And-
"Fuck it, 11 hours is too much."
that's what
Is
made
it-
him decide not to go
Or
into the
Right.
vault.
does
He's
he
supposed to go back
enjoy
for her,
everyone?
not because he doesn't want to walk 11
Right.
hours.
He
Yes.
doesn't go back for her. He goes back
Like-
because the walk to the vault
walk is too
It's
long?
too long. Cool. What a
What
good
a-
guy.
So
what
he
a
runs
great
back.
guy.
He says that it was a
you guys-
love fuck, guys, when he
Yeah,
gets
and
back
then-
and kisses her.
again,
no,
Which
he
once
doesn't.
once again is not romantic. It is
Right.
stupid.
They double
Stupid,
dip
stupid.
on this stupid joke that they
It's not
Ugh.
cute. It's stupid.
right. There's all like
Oh, what a pile of trash this is.
any weight to his return is just vacuumed out of the air by
Yeah.
the way he says it to her and the fact that he ran back because he's too lazy to walk 11 hours.
Yeah, to walk 11 hours.
Like-
I also like
Right?
he's
Can you
gonna have to
imagine?
walk with the like
They
you're
gotta
gonna
go
walk
back.
11 hours.
Maybe he'll walk with her.
No,
for
but the
11
guy
hours.
he asks is like stay hydrated, and then he runs away from him,
Yeah,
so
which
he
I wanna
doesn't
feel
have to
like-
walk with him the whole way. Like clearly, this guy
sorry.
didn't want to have to talk to Matt Damon for 11
Right.
Yeah.
hours,
Right.
and he was like, "You better stay. It's a long hike. I'll see you when we get there." And he
Yeah,
like
I like how
takes
everyone-
off.
It also didn't make sense. Well, whatever. We could continue. They go back home on the boat. You see them doing that.
Wait,
When they
there
get
is a
back
funny
home,
part.
wait,
When he
yeah,
runs
keep
out
going.
of the tunnel, it's the second time I chuckled,
Oh, okay.
perhaps because of insanity.
I think I
He
know.
runs out of the vault. They get behind a building. You're kind of like, whoa, what's happening? And the
Oh,
siren is
Yes.
going off, and the
They're
door
like,
is
it's gonna
closing.
blow.
It's gonna
Yeah.
blow, and it's like, and the little tiny rock
Yeah.
falls down in front of the
Like
door.
in front of the door, yes. And
It's a
they kind of come
6-inch
out and
door.
they're like,
because they're small. This is the first time we get reminded
yeah.
that they're small since
Oh,
we
I
saw
totally
the giant
forgot they were
vodka
small.
but
ball.
once again, I would have thought they're big. I never because
Yep.
nothing. That's
Being small doesn't matter.
nothing has changed. They're never like we're small, but we have to use these like they
Right.
can only make bottles this small.
Right.
Because
you know, and
the only
something's
way to
big.
real change is to change yourself. Em.
Oh, shut up. They go back home, and in the end, they drive back up. It's raining, and he's like, "Hold on," and the girl, well, I don't remember anyone's name.
Knock,
Knocklin?
Knocklan,
Knocklin? She's like, "Hold on, I want to see Rose's baby," and he's like, "We don't have time today. Like it's raining. You stay in the car." And he runs in and he gives dinner to this one guy that they have been helping out.
You saw
and
him
giving food
earlier,
to.
Yeah,
You see him
earlier.
earlier.
quickly.
We're back
And-
to movie 3.
And he's like, "Here you go. You're welcome." And he's kind of like happy that he's like, he would rather serve these people, even though he talked about like, oh, they're going to die either way from, you know, the world ending.
Right.
But he would rather still be like helping people up until the end. And it shows him rain back out. And that's the movie.
The credits roll.
That's it.
He stares at that guy for a little too long.
Yeah, like a little
Like,
creepy, but-
I
Was
feel
he
like
gonna
there was
ask him to get in the car?
I
I don't
yeah.
know.
No, like it's
Sir?
still it hadn't
Do I
totally
have any more pictures
coalesced.
after this? No.
Oh,
It
that's
hadn't totally coalesced into Matt Damon like understanding what
No.
he should be doing.
No.
I feel like
And he
he kind of
stares
started
at that
there,
guy.
and that's it.
The climax of the movie is him deciding not to do an 11-hour hike, so he leaves the vault. And then he
Yeah.
goes right back to like being bossed around
That-
by Knockland to help some people out.
But that also was a 15-second. Like that's not a lot. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you notice, they're there in a car and not in a bus, so clearly like
Sure, they're
maybe
together
they're
or
Got
doing a
whatever.
little bit
car?
better. I don't know
Yeah.
where they got money.
He sold his apartment.
It's a dumb movie.
I don't know.
It's the worst
I don't,
movie we've
this
ever
movie
seen.
sucks.
That's
This is
it.
the worst.
It's
I'm
most
depressing.
so
pointless movie.
tired.
Dumb.
It's so slow,
It's borderline
Really
incoherent.
very long.
and it has nothing to do with them getting small.
It has nothing to do
They
with
do
anything.
not need to get small. It could just be his wife separated from him and he met someone new. Same movie.
You know
Oh,
It
yeah.
would be the same thing. You do not need to get small. Because once you got small, there were no problems. There were no differences. There was nothing that had changed.
Here's the thing. If you have 2.5 hours to watch a movie, go watch Dune.
Anything else.
Or anything else.
Anything other than
Anything.
this movie.
Go
Heck,
watch-
Go watch.
What was our
I would
Mortal
rather-
Engines?
I would
You guys-
rather
Go
watch.
anything we've watched before.
Mortal
I'd rather watch
Engines
Magic Mike.
has been
Yeah,
upping
Magic
its
Mike.
game.
Yeah.
I feel like we should end
Perhaps
this
we
year
need
with
to
another
redo-
Mortal Engines to
Yeah.
double check.
We
Mortal
rewatch
Engines.
Mortal Engines.
I
I
wanna
never
see Shrek
finished it,
again.
and in hindsight, what an
It's a good
insult to
movie.
Mortal Engines.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a good
Really, after
movie.
this, like,
The fact that I finished this is a miracle. My head hurt after. I was furious. Slept bad. I texted you, Ben. Walked the dog for 20 minutes the next morning. Thought of nothing
You're
but like
still pissed
shower
about it.
arguments about this
Oh.
movie.
God.
Like-
It is so bad. It is. It's not that. There's nothing to it.
There's
no-
nothing
Nothing
there.
It's-
happens.
I don't even know what to argue because there's
Whatever it
There's
was
nothing to say.
trying to
It's-
say, it didn't say it.
like there's lots of movies we watch that were like, oh my gosh, they gave Channing Tatum like fake rollerblades skate. Like, yeah, they.
There, yeah,
But-
like goofy stuff. If there was anything goofy here,
But-
it was
There's
welcome.
nothing
This
At
is
least something
just
was happening.
Nothing. There is nothing to it.
Just
it was
depressing.
bad.
Oh, do not ever. I never would recommend
This is
watching this
can't
movie to
real
anybody.
bad.
I think you texted me too, because I remember seeing previews for this. I was like, Matt Damon, Kristen Wiig, Jason Sudeikis, silly movie about people getting small. I
Right.
want to see.
Decent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Comedy.
want to see this. This looks
Shit, we gotta
great.
get going.
I bet this
Sorry.
is crazy. This is the worst movie I've
No.
ever seen.
Absolutely. Well, let's end it there.
Sorry.
This was the worst
No, you're
D-list
good.
movie we've ever seen.
I just realized I have to get an MRI soon within 30 minutes, and I was like, shit, I gotta still do
Well,
that.
in that case, join us next
Stay
time.
tuned for Emily's MRI.
The next episode in the
we have the
podcast feed will be a
kneecap
normal
during it?
episode. We'll be back to talking about board games, video games, movies, TV shows, whatever we can find. We'll probably be talking about Dune. We'll probably be talking about
please.
Gloomhaven.
Ooh.
Let's
And in
play
a couple
that.
weeks
That's
from
true.
now, we'll have another D-list episode. So
Oh.
turn into the live
Oof.
stream. Anybody's listening to this on the audio podcast, you can actually watch the D-list live stream on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, whichever you
Wow.
like. Search for Date Night Dice, all three of those. Look at the Instagram posts for stories. We will do it Thursday nights. I don't know the date of the next one. We will throw that out there.
Yeah.
But we'll probably start around 8:45, 9 o'clock. If you want to tune in, otherwise, keep listening to the audio podcast. We really appreciate you listening. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Thanks.